Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League. It's an amazing one because we've had some amazing things happen in playoffs. Finally, after a little bit of a sleeper playoffs, a couple of weeks, we had the craziest one in a while, and it's brought us some upsets. And I'm not talking about that LEC player. Anyway, we're gonna get into that in just a second. But first, let me introduce my co-host. It's none other than Cubby. Cubby, how's it going?
I'm great. This was personally like one of my favorite weekends of League of Legends in the year. Like regardless of results, just when all the teams domestically are figuring out who's going to go to Worlds or not. It's super fun, super exciting. We had so much league action this past week, so my cup is full, and I was able to catch the vast majority of it, despite actually being not in LA. So yeah, I got together with some high school friends. One of my friends, he's the first guy in the group expecting. We got to see his house, and yeah, it was a really fun weekend with the guys. I haven't seen them like 2-3 years, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I should say yes. We are doing this on Tuesday in part because of Cubby's absence, but also in part because of Labor Day. So, also before I introduce our guest for the evening, I want to mention we'll be doing live Hotline League on Saturday at
Yes.
FanFest. Tickets are still available, and I think people really like. It's going to be a really good time. They're going to put a bunch of stuff at FanFest. I know that a lot of you, maybe you've been to the studio before. Maybe you're like, well, I've seen this before. Just go. The tickets are not that expensive. I've heard that you can buy them not through Ticketmaster, which might save money, and maybe through the box office. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter. Go take a look. But that will get you in to FanFest. On Friday, I'll be at the KIA stage doing interviews with some pro players, some friends to be decided, but also some Riot devs, including Freak, who some of you may know from his time casting the LCS or from Warcraft 3 replays. And then also, we'll do live Hotline League on Saturday at 10, and that will be live streamed. Both of those will be live streamed. So please tune in and hang out with us. It'll be a good time. But before we get into the rest of the show, I do want to introduce our guest for the evening. It's none other than Raz. Raz, how's it going?
How's it going? Is that the longest the show has gone on before an introduction? My ass is just staring down the camera. Is like, well, all right. Do they
Dude,
know who I
Raz,
am
when
or not?
Mark
They
was
know who I
on,
am. All right.
when Mark was on, we used to do it. Used to be like 4 minutes because Mark would like talk about what movies he's watched and
True.
TV shows, and then we'd introduce the guest. So
It's like he would talk about the movies and TV shows, and then go into a random diatribe of how the movie could have been better if X, Y, and Z happened. Like I was like, fucking, we do not care, Mark Zimmerman. That like, introduce the guest.
yeah,
But
I'm
no.
just happy that he was able to find a job after I told him like too much is too much, Mark. We got to get you off the show. It's just not working anymore. So
It must have been a tough conversation. How did it go? Like firing
it
Mark.
was tough. It was tough. I said to him, Mark, I think you need to find a new job. And there's one that I've applied for 17 times and didn't get it. But I think maybe
You're on your knees. You're like, please, Riot,
please, Riot, please make me
Allegedly.
the commissioner.
Yeah.
The recruiters have me blocked. Anyway, that's how that went. But Raz, how you been?
I've been good. Just, of course, been working. Was like weeks. This month was like week 7 into or week 6 into week 7 into immediately into playoffs, and so it's great. It's fun. It's funny too because a lot of the times when I'm on broadcast, I'll be like, okay, let's see how the co-streamers are handling it. Oh my god. Just seeing the co-streamers go into like 14-hour streams because they do LPL/LCK into LEC into LCS. By that time, like, Casual is a fucking husk of a human being, just in like, I need to sleep. So it's not as bad as the co-streamers that are doing everything. Dom is a great example of it too. But it's a lot, and I enjoy it.
Dude, the
I'm
real
like,
Riot Esports Network was just Casual stream all along.
I mean, I don't know how the co-streamers do it for that many hours. I certainly cannot do that, man. That's crazy. So props to them.
Yeah. So it's like, but still, of course, life has just been go through the show, into immediate prep, into sleep, into more show, into prep, into sleep. So by the end of the 3rd or 4th day, I am just fucking tired.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's completely fine. It reminds me of the LPL days, because in LPL there is no such thing as sleep. You are just going through it every day. So it's
Yeah, no.
enjoyable.
Yesterday, normally I wake up to Kobe leaving to go to the gym and do his like morning routine and stuff. And yesterday he was still here. And then in the afternoon he's just like, "Man, I'm just so tired. I didn't even do my like morning routine this morning." And I was like,
Yeah.
it's
Ooh,
just
good news though. As a man that loves drama, and I live next to or close to a bar. Oh my God! Last night, 2 a.m., there were like a
Yo.
couple bickering, two women going at it. A man that was trying to hold them back, but then became the problem because he himself was drunk, and then started turning into a problem, being like, "You hit me!" And I was just like, I was adding to the drama too. I was like, people are trying to sleep out here. My ass was not trying to sleep. I was not trying to sleep at all. But I was just trying to see what was going on. It's like, I'll call the cops. My ass is not calling the cops. So let's just say if you are an enjoyer of drama, living next to a bar, not that bad. It's not that bad. But then at a certain point, I did want to go to sleep. It was around 3 a.m. and they were still going at it. That's the problem.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
that's great, Rez.
That's my life.
You should move to a nice area of town, I think. Shout out to, speaking of sponsors, shout out to Kia, PrizePicks, and NZXT, our partners for this episode. Really gonna have a great time with all of them. I quick shout out to the fact that NZXT recently announced that they have their PCs available in Best Buys. Shout out to Kia, who will be on stage with this weekend on Friday and Saturday for LCS Finals weekend. And then shout out to PrizePicks. This is a great week. Listen, if you haven't been playing PrizePicks, if you have not done your first time deposit, this is a great week. Play the finals matches if you are interested and you can do so in a way that feels responsible to you. Please check it out. We'll talk about all of them again in the later on the show, but please use my links to sign up for any of those things or check them out. That's always very, very helpful, because if you sign up and you don't use that, then disaster occurs. Anywho, how surprised were you guys about Cloud9 not making Worlds?
Fucking surprised. What the
Just
hell?
getting into it.
Bro, I had that shit as 3-0, and I didn't think I was like, maybe if 100 Thieves, like, they can win a game off of Cloud9 trolling, because they do that quite a bit, where they just throw a 4 or 5k gold lead, and that turned into the whole series. So it was a bit much.
Covey?
I mean, I was really surprised. Like, I really felt like C9 had it on lock. What I will say though is, like, if I'm gonna be a hindsight Harry,
Oh, here we go.
I do think that, like, at least FlyQuest kind of laid out a roadmap or a game plan to beat C9, and I feel like C9's adaptations to what that did not fit like what the meta was or what's good into 100 Thieves. Because I really feel like they looked at 100 Thieves and was like, oh, this team isn't the strongest at laning. If we pick a lot of really strong laning champs, there's no way that we can lose. And then they make one or two mistakes. You're playing stuff like LeBlanc and Maokai, which is like just something that, like, I just absolutely hate. I feel like that Maokai champion is just so broken.
Yeah.
And then, like, the game can really get away from you. So I do think that 100, like, it is fair for me, and we'll get more into it in callers, because obviously this is going to be the hot topic of the episode, but I think it's very fair to say that C9 stagnated a bit. That's something that FlyQuest said about their match against C9. Like, they expected what they were going to pick and how they were going to play, and they kind of played into that. And I feel like 100 Thieves did their own variation of that. So, yeah, I think that's really the biggest reason for me why we see C9 on the outside.
Also, I don't know what the fuck they were practicing during the week, but I think their loss got way too deep into their heads.
Yeah.
The reminder, like, I think the example for me was it was game 3 when they had MF, Ivern, Gnar, and then on 4-5 they went Alistar into LeBlanc. Imagine playing LeBlanc with that comp. You are suddenly not scaling as you're going into the Zeri, Maokai, Ziggs. Like, what's the point of the Ivern at that point? Just pick Corki at 4. But because they had, look, I'm speculating. I was like, oh, because the entire community and also, like, maybe JoJo himself was like, I picked Corki all 3 or 4 games in the last series and it was disgusting and he played, like, it didn't work out. And then he's like not picking it when it's actually amazing. So either you go Zeri on 4, or if you're actually going to 5 pick, because you picked Alistar in 4, then go Corki, and that draft is perfect. But some of their drafts they had huge drafting problems.
Yeah.
And that really fucked them over. And then in the game, clear team fighting problems. Like Thanatos had really bad team fights. It was harder to play out their team fights with the comps that they were getting, but they themselves, I think, throughout the split have shown that they were not a great team fighting team at being able to hold their leads. So it's weird. It was just a weird series overall, and I think they got in their own head sometimes.
I am surprised that you guys are surprised, because whenever I tweeted about how wild of an upset this was and how shocking it is that C9 didn't make it to Worlds, my Twitter replies were as they always are after an upset, which is, I don't know, if you really looked at this team throughout the split, you would have seen that their drafts were just always all over the place, or their coordination was just never what it was obvious from the second week of LCS that this team was not. It's so annoying. And I like tried to hedge it off by being like, people will claim that this is not as crazy as it is, or that they knew all along, but like everyone thought that C9 was making it to Worlds, and everybody goes, yeah, but really, if those people were honest with themselves, they would. It's just so annoying.
Look, Travis, to be honest, if I had a day job that wasn't this, and I was like just a fan of League of Legends, and I saw this loss and I never expected it, but my opinion was never out there to begin with, I would be slapping my jowls around being, but I always knew this was a possibility. Because at the end of the day, yes, there were asterisks and worries about C9, but that didn't mean we think they would fucking lose the series.
Listen,
but now I have the defense of you never knowing my take before the series to be able to say that, I can wiggle my tail around.
I want to see people showing me all the crazy money that they were winning on PrizePicks, because they were so smart that they knew that like this was going to go this way, and so they picked lines that were way over for 100 Thieves and way under for C9, because all these people that are showing up after the fact to pretend as though this was guaranteed or known from the start. It's just crazy.
To be fair, there were some skeptical people out there, and I think people are naturally now skeptical whenever they see a super team. It just happens now. Like, especially the C9 or a JoJo or a super team in general, players and fans are now just fucking skeptical. I remember being in the end of the day when the series is over or anything, and like Azel was like on the desk with me. He's like, I don't think anyone had imagined this or guessed this to be a possibility. And I may have been in Caedrel's co-stream, like watching Caedrel's co-stream like the night before, 2 nights before, and he was like, I'm calling 100 Thieves. Because people are just saying this shit now because they just expect a super team to fail. So I'm going to acknowledge that crowd exists out there.
I mean, I can't blame folks at this point. Like, even thinking about vitality in EU, I mean, honestly, it might be a blessing in disguise for orgs everywhere. They might not be making dumbass decisions from here on out because everyone else has failed, and there's fan pressure now to not do this. And I think it is harder to find a way to play the game one way when you have 5 players with a strong will, which is going to happen in super teams because everyone's won before.
Yeah, I kind of feel like.
Go on.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, like, Dark Blue is saying, is there another super team that's worked? G2, man, literally G2, and Perks and Caps work together. Like,
that's crazy.
There are super teams that work. You just need to have, coaching staff that can be able to work through, like drafting things and be able to get like trust from your team, and also a team that trusts each other and has faith in each other and doesn't have those problems. So that shit just happens. This team should have worked. So it's weird.
So really quickly, I've seen this a couple times, and I appreciate that this person used a super chat to send this message in. Steven over on YouTube sent a $20 super chat. Says, am I the asshole for not being able to watch LCS matches as they happen, or am I not out of line for being annoyed with how spoiler-ridden some of Travis's videos thumbnails have been lately? What do you think, Travis? I think it's just crazy that like I'll post a video 24 hours after a match. I think I am generous in saying and giving people 24 hours, but I feel like after 24 hours have been over, you still haven't watched the match, you should be expecting to just hide from every social media platform, because like
Yeah.
even watching TV shows, I expect stuff to be up 30 minutes after, and I'm already hiding from spoilers. If a movie comes out now
Mm-hmm.
on and they have like the early screenings on Thursday night, you'll see people like trying to vague tweet about, oh, this actor suddenly made a cameo or something. So I don't know. I feel like it's crazy. The other thing is, even with shows and movies, there's an expectations that like people will be watching that afterwards. I feel like with live sporting events, like that shit is live. Everyone's reacting to it all at once. I don't know. And I
Yeah.
say this as to the person who just sent me $20, but yeah,
I would say
I think it's wild.
live sporting events, give it a day. Like for instance, there was a huge wrestling like pay-per-view or PLE or whatever you want to call it that was happening on the day in which one of our games were happening. So guess what I'm gonna fucking do? I heard LS was gonna be co-streaming that shit, and I was like, God damn it, he's gonna spoil it on the timeline. So after the show day, went back home, watched that shit. And if I was gonna wake up the next morning, I'm gonna try and watch it as early as I can. I know that I'm fighting back against people that actually want to talk about this shit. But if it's against the nasty, disgusting Jujutsu Kaisen type of people that decide to spoil it on this, they spoil the spoilers of the manga. There's nothing you can do on that one. They should be waiting like a week or 2 weeks. If you're watching the manga or reading the manga, you have the obligation to wait for the anime to come out before you type shit on your timeline. That's my thing.
I
I'm the
also
type
just
of person.
think
Yeah, go on.
I also just don't think people understand that, like, if I want to keep my stuff spoiler, like I put out a video today that was like, Blabber reacts moments after Cloud9 season ends suddenly or unexpectedly or something like that. And I feel like if I had written like Cloud9 reacts or Blabber reacts to C900 Thieves match, like that video is just going to perform way worse. And so is
Yeah, it's dying.
like I can't get sponsors, I can't get the ability to do the stuff if people are not watching the content. And nowadays with the YouTube algorithm, with everything being so like clickbaity and everything, you need to use everything you can to get there. So
The
I
only
don't know.
parties that should be having a spoiler tag is like, for instance, Lolly Sports or LCS. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, when MSI was happening, there was a time in which we didn't spoil it, and people were fucking pissed on the Instagram. But then we immediately remediated that. We changed that, and it was better. But you're literally reacting to the games, the events. You need to do that shit. So
Yeah.
I do not care, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right. That's enough random ranting about all sorts of different stuff. We've talked a little bit about the C9 stuff. The other things that have happened in the past week, we've had Impact get MVP, which I think was shocking. A lot of people here were really surprised that Impact got MVP. There's a lot of uncertainty about who would be getting it, and there he is. He gets it. Honestly, when was the last time we had it so locked in ahead of time?
Fuck. I guess there was
probably
Summit.
Blabber in spring of 20.
I was thinking Summit. That one felt clear to me for a while. When he won it in 2021.
Yeah.
Or 2022 or something.
Flowers is Flowers. You want to call it? You're welcome on the show, Flowers. You should come on as a guest sometime. Would you consider coming on as a guest, Flowers?
He didn't catch the sarcasm.
He didn't catch the sarcasm, but I just mean I've tried to get Flowers on as a guest before, and he's always like, nah. But then he shows up in my chat, and it is trolling like this.
Oh, that is true. Flowers, if he hears a hot take, he's flaming the viewer.
That's fine. We could put like a warning ahead of time, like callers get ready. Flowers will take you down.
Yeah,
like if
he does it in a fun way.
Oh, somebody with a riot tag says, "Yo, Flowers." They're here. It's their first message in the Twitch chat. There's a riot employee in the chat who says, "Yo, Flowers." They're after him already. He's got to run. This is why he can't do shows. They're coming to shut him down. All right. Anyway, so Impact got MVP. We keep getting distracted. Impact got MVP. We now know the three teams that are around for finals weekend. We now all know all three teams that are going to Worlds. Is there anything else big that happened?
Wait,
Cubby, do you want to? I don't think that this is the show to pull a lot of NACL takes, but do you want to give a burst on what's been going on there? Because I think that there was some stuff that went down. Yeah.
Dragonsteel and Fear Starforge made the finals and also qualified for the America's Challengers tournament, where there will be 2 out of the 6 teams that play the secondary teams of Brazil and the Latin America scene. And we have the promotion tournament going on right now. If anyone wants to watch some League of Legends competitively, there have been some really fun games there. But yeah, congrats to those two teams. And the team that didn't qualify was FlyC, who was probably the third or was up there in terms of strongest teams. But that's it with NACL. We do have a live finals the day after LCS. So if you want to get tickets to the Riot Games Arena, you can actually go watch those live.
Oh, Chime also retired. So
yeah, Chime did retire.
Chime
Masu,
retired, yes.
Rookie of the Year. I don't know if you talked about that last time.
I don't think we talked about it, but I think it'll be tough to talk about tier 2 stuff right before finals and after such crazy upset. But I did want to reference it because I know it's pretty crazy. Also, pretty cool that the two teams that came in with big names attached to them made it to the finals. This for NACL, Brandon Sanderson and the OTK folks through Starforge. True. So I think it's pretty neat, and just wanted to. I'm glad that you were able to mention that because I think it's pretty cool. Yep. Oh, I think also we didn't talk about Masu winning KIA LCS Rookie of the Year.
I just said that like 3 times.
Yeah.
Wait, did we talk about Masu winning 2024 KIA LCS Rookie of the Year?
I'm gonna get a weapon. 1 second.
You're gonna get a weapon? In game.
He's getting a sniper.
In game. Okay. Which I'm not trying to get removed from this. He's going downstairs to the bar a couple blocks away to go figure the stuff out. Is that a katana?
He's going to see what the bickering couple's up to. Oh,
dude, Raz with the katana it makes so much sense that he'd be the type of guy that would just have a katana nearby. All right, there it is in game. All right, let's. The show is already off the rails.
0.
You want to just get into calls?
Okay, let's
get into calls.
It's a fake weapon, guys. It's fake. It's rubber.
Thank you to. By the way, it is September, so subs are cheaper right now on Twitch. Please consider embracing the holiday of September, the greatest holiday for every streamer. NFC PM, thank you for the prime. Cherry Lace at 72 months. Madhog 98, thank you for the 11 months. 504 Caesar of our YouTube with a $10 super chat. Paul Weber for the membership. Bug Juice Reviews, thank you for 12 months, a whole year. Brendan Myers, thanks so much. And then again, Steven with the $20 super chat. All right. Our first caller is not here yet. Cubby went.
I can grab him.
Yeah, go grab him. I was like, let's get into calls. So I started doing the spiel, and then Cubby was off in another world.
Yeah, Cubby's off his A game.
But yeah, subs are discounted during September. I'm trying to remember. It's like 25% off, right? But then I think we still, as streamers, benefit as much as we did without the September. At least that's how it's gone in the past. You can get 30% off a 6-month sub, which is pretty cool. So, because some of you guys keep your subs on going for all the time, which is pretty swell. Looks like our first caller is here. Oh, and their microphone kind of goes through a little bit. mlewisno, where are you calling from?
Just a second. Sorry, I paused the stream. My bad.
Wait, what?
I'm calling from Duluth. I paused the stream. I had both going, so I apologize.
Okay.
I called from Duluth, Minnesota.
Duluth, Minnesota. Are you in the car right now?
Yes, I am. Yes,
dude, this is so talk radio. Yeah.
No, it's talk radio.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on my way to my 9 to 5 at 9:35 p.m. The classic. No, that's a lie. It's not true. It's not true.
You better be focusing on the damn road.
I am. I'm also only going 25 miles an hour, so it's not like I'm on the freeway or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun fact: my video producer Drew is from Minnesota. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah. So my take is basically that not just in League of Legends esports, but in esports in general, there's a huge problem with organizations and people not learning from the mistakes, both of their past selves and other organizations. And I think Cloud9 is a really good example of that. I'll start by saying that, of course, I've never run an esports team, and I know there's a lot of complexity there. But
thank you for clarifying.
Cloud9. Oh, sorry?
So thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
Yeah. But with Cloud9, both on the super team front, which has failed or been mediocre, certainly as an investment for them in the past, not just in League of Legends esports, but things like the Colossus in CSGO and stuff like that. as well as just looking back to last year's FlyQuest and the Team Liquid from the year before that, it's kind of insane that the same groups of teams are trying these same strategies after a couple years of moving away from them and finding more success. And then with Cloud9 in particular, the other side of it, of course, that people talk about is the size of the coaching staff. And whether Miffy or Reaper is better, I don't know. But in both of those cases, in previous years when those teams have been doing better, they've had at least a little bit more structure and support around the players. And so I find it really interesting that teams are continuing to make this, like, mistakes over and over again that are, and they're not learning from each other. They're doing the same things and being surprised when things fail. Now, my last point is that this isn't to say that super teams can't work, right? Y'all were talking about that a little bit earlier. But it's a lot about percentage plays and marshaling of financial resources. And super teams in particular are just such an incredibly risky bet because all of your money is going into a group of players with no extra budget really for support staff or making changes if people don't mesh well.
I have a lot of opinions here. One of which is, like, I feel so strange about calling. I've heard this I feel like people were not using the term. Lewis, can you maybe mute whenever you're not talking? Sorry, we're just getting some feedback from the microphone.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
you got it.
You're good. I feel like people started using the super team moniker a lot more in the last 48 hours. And I'm not saying that this team wasn't a team that had a lot of star power on it, but I don't feel like going to the summer it was like, oh my god, this is the super team, especially in comparison to super teams that we've seen in the past. Vulcan is not some. I like Vulcan a lot. I feel like he has not realized what I thought he was going to be. In the past, he's been stronger, but I don't feel like he's this mega powerhouse star. Thanatos is not that either by any means. You really just had Jojo, Blabber, and Berserker as the core of this, and I don't feel like having three big names makes you a super team. It's just it's so different compared to a lot of super teams that we've seen in the past. So I don't know. I kind of push back against it. The other thing is even in a world where this is a super team, they were really close to making it to Worlds. I know that we're all kind of going in on them right now, and it makes sense given that they were expected to grow and then they didn't. But they were really, really right on the edge. So acting as though this was such a huge failure, obviously not making it to Worlds is a failure, but acting as if oh, they were doomed to failure from the start, or super teams just don't work when they were right on the edge, I think it's a little goofy.
You go first.
Can I hop in for a second? Oh, sorry, Raph, please go ahead.
Oh, sure. I'll just go. Yes. So many people have different definition of super teams. So and I'm usually okay with the varying definitions. The one that I'm least okay with a lot of the times are the ones where big names are being picked up and you're unsure of whether or not they're actually good. For instance, that's the Team Liquid team. Now, I had a lot of faith in Team Liquid in 2000. I think that was 2022.
Yep.
I was with Bjergsen and Whippo and all that. I had faith just because I was like, Hansama is a fucking good AD carry, and you can just play through bot lane. And Bjergsen at some point will get to form. But that didn't happen, and Hansama failed, and that was a weird one because that one was just a super team of big names and not necessarily, hey, you had a top 2 last split or last year. We're picking you up for that reason. That was not it, right? It was a super team for brand power alone. That one is a weird super team. That one is a super team with an asterisk because that's a lesson you come out of being like, I shouldn't just pick based off name value anymore. I should just pick based off of, do I think he's the fucking best player of the previous split or year? And for Cloud9, this is a puzzling one for me because Berserker is a check mark on that box. Same with Hell Yes, Blabber and Jojo. And I would even say Vulcan only because of the EG days. And then obviously FlyQuest was a little bit of a disaster. But you'll always have faith that A, he'll get back to form, and B, the support pool is already pretty poor to begin with, by the way. So I just think that you have a top 3 in every position. You bring in Thanatos, which is hype, but you know he's green and he has to get better. I think so I came in thinking they had learned their lessons because their previous split, they didn't have any like a real identity. And Reaper is more of a coach that will lead you to have a core identity. Like, if anything, that's what he's known for. Is this is what we're good at. If we're a fucking team fight team, then fuck it, we're playing front to back, Zeri, Alistar, like, or Zeri Nautilus this or Kaisa Nautilus or something, and we're playing front to back no matter what. Like, that's what I kind of expected. I think they just really fucking slipped up, and the structure just wasn't there when they were losing, in moments in which they were losing. But during the regular season, they were doing really fucking well. My only real question was like, they have a lead. Can they expand on that lead? Their team fighting is a little suspect, and Thanatos kind of, it felt like he just stopped growing as a player in team fights. We already knew he was a great individual laner, but I was hoping that that would be an aspect of the game that he'd get better at, and it didn't happen. Maybe it takes more than just a split, but it's weird. This one, I actually think their thought process, this split was fair and good, but they didn't have the structure, and maybe there's something internally that is the problem, and we just don't see it.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty fair assessment. I mean, in terms of the super team discussion, I would for sure argue that spring was the case. And if you look at how people power rank C9 going into spring, they were first or top 2, right? I think summer was a little bit different because we obviously saw how well TL performed internationally, and FlyQuest was still I mean, people had suspect or thought like FlyQuest was kind of suspect, but they kept the majority of the squad. I thought Quad was an upgrade. Not everyone watches NACL, so like most people are like, oh, we lost Jensen, right? So like maybe C9's around like 2 or 3. But I don't know if I can like call a team that I pretty confidently ranked like second or third a super team, especially like, at least Thanatos. He was a rookie with expectations. I think that there's a lot of power like in terms of who was on that squad, but it's not like JoJo was the best mid in spring, right? Like I think Berserker in spring was fine. I think that people just view this as a super team because it's C9, Reaper's back, and there's a lot of power. And I actually thought that like Reaper being back, like, if there was going to be any argument that I'd make for C9 being a super team, it would be Reaper being behind them because I think he's inarguably the most successful coach that's been in LCS, right? So adding him to a squad that was struggling in terms of their identity, like that actually seems like a pretty good answer. And to be fair, if like for the first 2/3 of the split, it was. I mean, C9 had a really good regular season. What, they were 14-3, only dropping games to what? TL and Dig, right?
To the bottom teams that were not named FlyQuest and what's it called, Team Liquid, they only lost to 1 game to Dignitas.
Yeah.
They had an incredible record.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, again, going into playoffs, it was like, hey, guys, like, we are going to, like, make worlds. It's just that on this patch, I feel like FlyQuest laid out the game plan for how to beat them, and 100 Thieves were able to fit it with their style, and the adaptations that C9 made weren't there. Also, the one thing that I will bring up is I think that, like, I think you're reading, like, what happened with C9 this past week is strong Raz, because all I remember is that, like, JoJo's 2 crutch picks, even going back to Academy, they're Silas and they're LeBlanc. Like, the very last game JoJo played in Academy was the LeBlanc game. I really feel like he just thinks that he's so good in these champs that they can win. And to be fair, in the past, he has proved that. But in this game, in this meta right now, and with no mythics, I do think it's a lot harder to, like, at least snowball what LeBlanc can do. And so maybe, like, C9 were just kind of reaching for desperation. Again, maybe they just looked at 100 Thieves and said, hey, we're going to outlane them. It's going to be no problem. We're just going to win from there. We're just going to pick for lane. And it was very clear that that did not happen. And to be fair, I don't think that's the way that you beat 100 Thieves, because they will fight you. And if they get any edge in fights and they have the champs that interact better in fights, they will win.
There's a few things too. Like, for instance, I like Nidalee comps that actually scale. Like if you're playing Nidalee Corki or Nidalee Zeri or something.
Yeah. E attack speed buff is so big. Like,
Exactly.
I think people really don't rate that highly. And it's like 70% for 7 seconds. It's stupid.
Yeah. And you'd have set up based off of Renekton, Nautilus, something like that. But Nidalee and LeBlanc is not even that good. Like,
it's shit.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I fucking hate it personally.
It's shit.
So there are a lot of aspects of their comps that they were building where I'm like, that is really bad. I don't think it works. And unless you just are that fucking good in the game. You're playing that well, keeping up tempo and everything. Okay, fine, but you're making life harder for yourself.
So we're going off a little bit off the ranch. Lewis,
I
I
don't
don't know.
think so. I think we're on the ranch. I think we're farming.
Where
Can I respond for a second?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Travis, you can go. Well, so first of all, I think you make really good points about Super Team, and for me, that's the less important part of my point, so I'm happy to drop that term. I think for me, the thing that's challenging, and this is something that, like, I still thought, to be clear, I still thought that C9 was going to make it to Worlds. I didn't think they were going to win the split, but I thought they were going to make it to Worlds. I thought that even at the beginning of the year when they announced their first, iteration of this roster. But I think it's really the balancing of resources between support staff and players financially. I think that's what to me is worrisome about their approach, which is like I see a world in which this same team where JoJo is earning $200,000 less and they have 2 more coaches might have had over the course of a year a lot more time to become a cohesive unit, because direction isn't just about players. Like, players are not some fixed identity that stays the same, right? Good teams have been able to coach players into being completely different people than they were before in terms of how they play the game. And it really felt like things were just kind of on a shoestring, because the assumption was that, if you have 5, or let's say, let's start with the beginning of the year, 5 great players or 3 great players and 2 new players, they'll be able to figure it out, right? And I think that to me is the thing that hasn't really worked historically for the most part. And that's where I feel like Cloud9 stumbled from a strategic perspective, where you can still hit a certain bar with great players, but to win the split or to be a team that can maintain multiple years of success, like a G2 or hopefully a Team Liquid, stuff like that, you can't do it by just putting together 5 great players and a coach and then, being like, okay, go figure it out.
All right. I really let me
you go,
bring this in here and ask. I am legitimately curious, Raz and Cubby, like, because when I do think it is very funny in a kind of sadistic way that C9 had. I remember Spawn or somebody made some passive aggressive comment about how, like, we actually have coaches or something like that, and the idea that, like, C9 spent all their money on a star player and didn't have any support staff. I think it is easy to be like, and they lost. So see, on the other hand, like, do we really feel like they lost because of a lack of support staff? Like, when we look at the issues that they had and the decisions that they made on stage, like, do you think that it's like, well, if they had like 2 more analysts, that would have worked out better? Because I'm not saying that they didn't make poor decisions in pick ban, but I do wonder if those decisions are decisions they would have made anyway, because they were more like ego based. We were just talking about, like, JoJo thinks he can lock in LeBlanc and just beat anybody. I don't know if that changes in a world where you've got like an analyst on the sideline that's like, have we considered picking something else? I don't know. I'm also wondering what you guys are going to say.
Also, personally, I think they have the same amount, give 1 position or less, of a coaching staff. Like, 100 Thieves has Golden Glue, Sam, and I think they have Chimera as well.
Jungle Juice knows the game a bit too.
True, but he's just a manager,
GM.
and he's just not. Yeah. I doubt he's saying literally anything.
Yeah.
So, and then for Cloud9, they have Reaper, they have Vigar V2, and maybe they have someone else as well on top of that.
High's in the room.
Yeah,
but if you're discounting Jungle Juice, I feel like you have to discount High.
I'm not counting Jungle Juice.
I'm saying that to Cubby.
Okay, fair. So, like, to me, I think it's not that big of a difference. The real question is just how impactful are they in the room? Like, what are they able to provide in the room? I don't know what is happening behind the scenes for either team. I think I know Golden Glue and Sam a little bit better, and I know I literally worked with Sam back in Golden Guardians Academy, and I know how fucking good he is, and I know what he provides on a team and how he can complement players a lot of the time. And just when I saw the drafts and when I saw how they played in the game, it just felt like the actual prisoners have control of the asylum, and that's what it looked like to me. But I don't want to, like, make too many conclusions. That just seems like a very similar problem that they had in Spring Split when Mithy was there. So whenever you have systemic problems like these, I don't know what's going on, but something systemically needs to change so that, you know, we're on the same page as a team, because it didn't feel like that.
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, I think both parties, like players and staff, deserve blame. The one thing that I will say is that it's really cool to see, as someone again that covers challengers, to see Spawn and Golden Glue both go international, like in their first year coaching, because these were the guys that had the strongest performing teams in academy and were leading them. And both, like Spawn's teams always had stricter macro, and that's how they won a lot of games. And Golden Glue, his teams always played a little bit looser, and they were able to perform like with their hands. And I see these two teams, and I see that identity in LCS with these players. So I do
Cubby.
feel like they deserve a lot of props. Yeah.
Cubby.
Yeah.
Answer my question though. Do you think C9 lost because they didn't have enough coaching staff?
I mean, I don't care about enough. I think effective matters more. And for me, it's clear they didn't have the right approach. Because like you can argue like more people being in the room can sometimes not help. I mean, FlyQuest has more people in the room, so maybe that's why like they beat C9. Who knows? But yeah.
I'm trying to bring it up because the narrative was they didn't have any coaches or they didn't have enough coaching staff or whatever. And like, I'm just not convinced that was the problem. Like, not to say that there weren't things that these guys could have done differently and like pick and ban and all that stuff, but I'm just not sure if having more coaches would have done it. And again, like I'm very curious if Reaper sticks around for next year. Like, do the two of you think that Reaper will be here next year for C9?
I mean, I think he'll be here next year. I don't know what the hell the changes are going to be, but I don't think it's going to solve anything. To your point, I don't think it's about the numbers at all. I think it's just about whatever's happening internally. And right now, we're in a system in which we blamed Mithy. He left. He went to FlyQuest, found success. We're blaming Reaper. If he leaves, if they have the same structure, they'll probably still lose. Like, this is one of those things where speculating is fucking hard, but they need to find the answer internally because they're coming to the same problems every time we point to the coach.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we've talked for a long.
We send in an arrow. It's 8th place. No, I'm just kidding. No, like no matter who we send in, it's I feel like it's a little cooked. Maybe there's gonna be that one coach that changes everything. We send in CV Max. We send in somebody that who's known, regarded as an incredible coach. Maybe CV Max was a bad example, and it's different, but I kind of doubt it.
All right, Lewis, thanks so much for the call. We had you on for a very long time. Is there anything you want to add before I give you your shout-outs?
No, I mean, I think you made a lot of really good points, and I've never been in the back room, so that's something for me to reconsider as well. So I appreciate the perspective. I feel bad for everyone on the C9 team. I like each of those people individually, coaching staff, leadership, and players, and I hope that they're able to find the level of success that they want in the future. Yeah, in terms of shout-outs, I mean, obviously shout-out to all the sponsors for Travis. It's fantastic stuff that they're doing to help keep you providing all this great content to folks like me. I appreciate that. I'm really glad that you're going to be doing live Hotline League. Shout out to Cubby for pulling me for the call. Shout out to Papa Smithy for having multiple players from multiple academy-style teams all qualify for Worlds across multiple organizations at the same time. And shout out to Raz for being fucking hilarious.
I appreciate you, bro.
Thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. Drive safe, and we'll catch you next time.
Hell yeah.
Thanks.
Travis, I had one more thing to say.
Oh, you always do.
The call wasn't there because I completely forgot about it until this point. And
You're rotating too far away from your mic, Raz.
Oh, my bad.
I'll see you move around, and then your audio is just all over the place.
I'm a cycler. The caller said like just minus $200,000 from his contract and get into a coaching staff. Brother, he's just not staying. He's not on that team. He had offers. So that is not how offseason works. And I don't think it's a numbers thing. It's just having the right person for the job, and also whatever system exists. If it's JoJo saying I want to pick LeBlanc, you gotta say no, and hopefully the authority comes through.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break right now to talk about one of our sponsors, none other than NZXT. They make great machines, including the one that is broadcasting and streaming this entire show right now. Really cool to see them come in and support us as always. But NZXT is now available in your nearby Best Buy. So this is really fun. I know a lot of people like to go in and see a machine before they buy one, get their hands on something or see it. And now NZXT gaming PCs are available online at Best Buy. You can go take a look at those. It's been fantastic to see how they've been able to do this in partnership together. So yeah, you can go check them out. Available at Best Buy. It's been cool to see them sort of I remember when NZXT first started off, and they were mostly focused on cases. This was like back in the beginning of esports, and now they're doing all this like mainstream stuff. It's been really neat to see. So I appreciate NZXT's support of the show. I hope you all do too. So you can go check them out over there. Sometimes people want to grab something off of Best Buy. Maybe you have some credit there or a gift card. At the same time, you can also always use our link, which is in the description. I'm also going to put it into both the YouTube and Twitch chat right now. It's nzxt.co/Travis. That's CO, not COM. And you can use code Travis5 to save 5% off of your PC. It also started to see people shout out the brands that sponsor me, including NZXT, in other places. Like there's the Reddit thread right now with the Blabber interview, and somebody was like, "Oh, I suddenly have an urge to see NZXT." It's been fun because I know we had a previous partner for this category, and they got a lot of attention. So after about I don't know, just about 3 months or so, you all are giving them a ton of love as well. So super appreciate everybody supporting NZXT and picking their stuff up. All right, we are off to grab the next caller. While Cubby does that, we're going to shout out some folks who are supporting the stream through subs. First off, we got Riot Squish with the tier 1, iNuber with 35 months, OFWG Sammy 2 months, Zillard Breath with the tier 2. Thank you for the 1 year. Andros with the 6 months, and Sharigan Chidori for the Prime, and Badger. Oh wait, did I read this right? I think I read this right. Sorry. Where is the message? Because sometimes Twitch doesn't show it right. I think somebody is subbed for 6 months. Yeah, Andros subbed for 6 months in advance, which is super cool. Saved 30% off of their subscription with September. Thank you for the next 6 months of sub. That's really nice. I Am Murder, thank you for the sub as well. We'll have some member shout-outs over on YouTube in a second. But first, we got Daily Brew here. Daily Brew, where are you calling from?
Hi, I am calling from Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. I love Miami. I miss when we did the show there. It was one of my favorite shows. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take on the show is that 100 Thieves is actually the best third seed team we could have sent to Worlds in a very long time.
They're the best third seed team.
Yes, and I have 2 supporting points to back up my take. The first one is that 4 out of the 5 players have actually not been to Worlds so far. And that's interesting because it presents an opportunity for them to actually learn something at Worlds and bring it back to the NA LCS ecosystem so that they can, in hopes, increase the competition in the NA LCS. And I think that having watched NA LCS for a long time, I'm actually less interested in how we perform internationally. I'm more interested on what the teams learn and bring back to the ecosystem so that we can make the games happening in North America more interesting, because that's actually what the content that features most out of the year. That's my first point. And my second point is that, it's very interesting because I saw the pros interview with Sniper, Inspired, and APA. And what's funny is that Tomo actually subbed into 100 Thieves the same way that APA subbed into Team Liquid. And in the same year, they both made it to Worlds in the prospective rookie splits, however you wish to call it. And I actually just learned, and Cubby said this brilliantly, that Golden Glue was actually a coach at Challengers, I believe, and then he actually made Worlds the same way that Spawn did on their first year. And I just think that the storylines are so much fun and they're so positive. And, for the longevity of the league, I think that's actually a really positive kind of thing that could have happened. And I have a lot of strong opinions about C9. I'm trying to hold them back, actually. So I'm just going to leave it there.
No, he's going to get shit on in play-ins and go out. It's going to be awful.
You're stronger than most.
I have
men.
I have a small point to make on that
Yeah,
thing.
I'm just joking, but after all your
No.
positivity, I just thought it would be
No,
funny.
no, because this is brilliant. I'm glad that you said that, because if
Yeah,
you
go for
notice,
it.
at MSI, Fly got shit on, I excuse my language, at play-ins, and then they came back to North America and made a competitive environment for TL to actually have to challenge them in the finals to a 5-game split, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. No, I'm just teasing about the plans thing. I do think it is worth a conversation here in a second, but I do. It's so funny because last week we had a caller on the show when we had Papa Smithy on, who was like making the argument that 100 Thieves would be better to go to Worlds. I think it would be better to go to Worlds than C9 or maybe the other teams that were competing. And I remember Pop Smithy was like, "Oh, would you rather have C9? Would you rather have 100 Thieves to me?" And at the time I was like, I can see it both ways, but I do really appreciate that you're highlighting, there is so much focus on C9 after their loss, deservedly so, but I do appreciate that you're highlighting some of the excitement around having 100 Thieves go and what the potential is for all these young players and, first time world competitors to be able to have that chance to compete. I think it's great.
I can go first. First, I will say you are the most proper person from Miami I have ever seen in my life. An actual gentleman from promise me, are you from Britain? Like, are you a British person?
No, Raz, I'm actually not from the UK, but I spent time at Egham at University of Royal Holloway. That's where I got my accent.
Okay, that's completely understandable. I imagined people from Florida to just be, crackheads.
What you're gonna see in GTA 6,
Yeah, exactly. No, you're incredible. So to answer the question, I completely agree. There's always going to be a fear that you take a team like this to internationals, they get blown out. There is frustration from within the team or like management, and then things, we just don't see the same team next year. But I don't think that would be the case for 100 Thieves. They were the team that actually stuck with Quid, even with the poor split just last year. So they're a team that is willing to take a chance. On a big credit to the management and organization on that one, and even taking a chance, quote unquote taking a chance, but picking up Tomo, I think is a big step for them. So I agree with you. They're also a team that when they are in a deficit, like they were in Game 2 of that C9 series, they will fucking fight. They will fight it out. They will make dives. River has, a big noggin and big balls. The guy is always going to look for plays to try and fight and get them back into a game. So they're an exciting young team. The biggest, honestly, surprise for me when Sniper came in this year was that even when some of his laning phases were quite poor, he is somebody that will always find solo kills. Like for instance, this split, he was losing lane to Thanatos, if I remember correctly, but he still got to solo kill because he's extremely confident. If he sees an angle, he's going to go for it. He's not scared. That's something that always shocked me with him, because coming into the LCS, he was a person that I think had the most to prove and grow, because we were in an environment at the time where like Licorice, Revenge, there were already so many like incredible top laners that were on the outside looking in, and 100 Thieves took a chance on him, and he fucking put his head down. He worked his ass off. The coaching staff honestly picked, they drafted incredibly comfortably for him. He also just grew at a rapid pace. They're a team that has no fear, and I think that is something that can easily translate to an international event. That being said, if we go to this international and we have to lane swap, we have to learn how to lane swap, I think they will suffer. But to the overall point that you were making, yeah, like they'll, even if they get their ass beat, they'll come back and they'll come out with a lot of good information. That reminds me of, unironically, JoJo. Remember when JoJo came back from MSI and immediately he was talking about how he learned a lot from Xiaohu and Faker, and he was able to honestly level up in the next split because of it.
Just to shout out JoJo really quick, he actually played against Faker and he said, "Wow, this guy's actually pretty good," which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. That was funny.
So I find your take interesting for a couple reasons. I mean, one, this does remind me of that the JoJo Danny EG team that we sent internationally, just picking up experience. I know that they had some players that have been there before, but to have like 2 young players like that, and in this case have a handful of young players go international, that is good. The one like thing that I'm curious though about to kind of like pull Travis and Raz on, frankly, is this was a big talking point that a lot of us had about NRG last year. And I do think that it was a little bit different given that I'd say that the NRG players were a little bit more journeymen. But it was
They
the
also
first time
won.
going. Yeah, they did win. But there was this discussion of like, hey, sending NRG is going to be great because like we are sending players that either haven't been on the international stage in a long time or just had never been there in the first place, looking at like Dokla Palafox, right? And we didn't really see NRG be able to translate that to success in the LCS. I think part of it is they got there a little bit longer in their careers. But I do think that you can see, like, when a younger player is able to go international, them coming back and leveling up. I think we really saw that out of Masu. APA had more time, but him and Yon going international, I mean, they definitely leveled up this year.
Yeah.
I don't think that's all because of that experience, but like in a sense, like I know from talking with some of the young players, your eyes just get open to how the game is like really played, right? And that can go over really well or really poorly, depending on how your mindset handles that, because you're going to see the game really differently when you go play against the teams over there, whether it's boot camp or the event itself. So the one thing that I will say that I feel good about 100 Thieves is that I do think they really had a mentality change when Tomo stepped in. And props to the staff on that, because like I mean, Meech just wasn't performing the split, right? Like he was just getting smoked in lane.
Yeah.
And Tomo came in, started winning lane. And then I talked with 100 Thieves after their first win in playoffs to go face TL, and like they were pumped. They're like, "Hey, we're going to Worlds, right? Like we're going to do this." And like we're beating TL and getting it next week. That didn't happen, but they made it happen eventually. And I do want to give them a lot of credit for how they really ran with the swap. Like, and Sniper was talking about how his mental health like wasn't great until they made the swap, and then they made the swap, and he's like, "Man, things are great now." So whatever happened really turned the tides of their ship over there. I do think the 100 Thieves deserves a lot of props for that. And I really hope that they lean on that going international, because they are going to get smoked by a lot of the teams over there, right? That's not just for 100 Thieves. That's for all 3 of the teams that we send over there. It's a different game that's played. So I hope that they can kind of lean on that experience and respond well. And hopefully we just see a stronger team performing, and we'll see what they do end up bringing back.
To kind of go push back against both of you and agree with both of you. One, I think the difference with the energy situation last year was they won Worlds, or they won LCS summer. Maybe 100T will too, although I think that they have a more uphill battle than Energy did. And I think there was also, despite the fact obviously that we sent like APA or whatever, there was a strong sentiment of, hey, these are players that have been in the league for a while. There's a lot of North American talent there. We have like a North American mid laner there. Like there was a lot of hype for those reasons. And they also it was like a new org, right? I think the vibes were a little different with NRG at Worlds last year than they will be for 100 Thieves. The other thing is like I worry, I know there's a lot of like, oh, they're going to go over there, they're going to learn so much. I'm not suggesting they won't learn, but I do think this is different than, say, JoJo going to MSI, because I worry that these guys are not going to be able to get great scrims as the 3rd seed and as a plans team. And I do worry that there is I'd love to see them escape plans, do all sorts of cool stuff in Swiss, but like, are you guys going to be surprised if they don't make it out of plans?
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. So on the opinion on NRG, I think that NRG did something that was miraculous when they made their Worlds run, and it's that they figured out how to play as a team. And I think that what's interesting, and I'm holding myself back from C9 because I love C9 so much, and it pains me that they didn't make it. But the idea is that the mechanical prowess of your laners doesn't matter if you don't know how to play as a team. And I have a lot of references about Mithy and about the coaching staff of Reaper and stuff. I could go on for a long time about this. But what's interesting to me is that, you see, when NRG replaced Ignar with Huhi, they weren't the same team, which led to their crumbling. But if we take a team like 100 Thieves, and just to reference what Cubby just said, that they fight, they're a fighting team, they're not afraid to take fights. I think that with Tomo, they have found something that has the opportunity to make a splash. And if they get into Swiss, that's great. But I think that the fire that can potentially be lit under them by just getting the opportunity to go and just being in that environment and seeing the way that Sniper looked on pros when he was talking to Jat and thanking APA and Inspired for being there. There's just so much possible like narrative building that can happen. And I think that's so lovely.
Yeah, I agree. And I think my only fear is that, like, I love Sniper. I think we all do. Somebody who is as energetic and excited, like, has just pure excitement like his, is something that you have to keep track of, because when you go through low moments, it's also goes to the other side. It's really low. And you need somebody to be able to keep track of that, like, a psychiatrist perhaps, but also just like a good team culture to be able to catch it. Because when you lose, if you're going to go on a boot camp, and if you get decent opponents, and by decent opponents, I don't care, like, just anybody. If you start losing games incessantly and losing on stage, then it's going to be ass. And to your point, Travis, they'll make it out of play-ins. Like, if they get 3rd seed, then they go up against Rainbow Seven, and then they would go up against the winner of the Marines or
It's the
Software
God
Puck.
run. It's the
Like,
easiest run.
It's the easiest run. They're literally not in the side of the bracket with PSG, Mad Lions, and the Vietnamese team. I still have to do prep on that team, so I have no idea how they look. But
Yeah.
so, like, it's unironically easier to make it out of play-ins in quote unquote, in Worlds, because at least the teams that you're facing is, seed 3 or seed 4 at times, whereas in MSI now it's cooked. That being said, it should be good for us. So no matter what lessons you take. And also, one thing to point out, the coaching staff, very creative. If you run into a situation where you're just getting shit on by the meta, a lot of times what you don't want is to be falling into we have to change everything how we play. We have to play what they're playing, and even if it doesn't fit our fucking play style, and then you can just lose your identity. And I think something that Golden Glue and Samuel do a great job at is being able to really capture a strong fucking composition that also works with who they are as a team. Like, Ayla is not playing an Enchanter. He is just playing Rel, Alistar, any engage in which he can be the caller for it. And Sniper, that man, blue side or red side, Rumble is being banned, and they're picking picks that work well for him in matchups that work well for him. It's Cassante Renekton, which is, honestly, to be fair, every fucking matchup in every team, or Aatrox, then perfect. If we're moving out of that realm, a little questionable. But I think they build around their teams well. So I have full faith in them.
I will say at the end of this conversation, I am sad that there's not the 4th seed battle between EU and NA, because it would have been really fun to see C9 go over there and
BDS.
Yeah.
Oh no, we don't want that shit to happen again, Travis.
Ice is pretty good, man. I don't know. BDS is actually a decent team.
I don't know.
Who did MDK play against, where they swept MDK 3-0 and then they like crushed the dreams of that synopsis?
Golden Guardians?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to see that again.
Or, I mean, EG smacking the shit out of Mad Lions, that was pretty fun for 2 years in a row.
I feel like C9 would be fine. Like, they're not. Look, this is the sort
BDS has issues. They do. But
this is that post thing where we saw them lose. They weren't expected to lose. Now everybody's gonna act like C9's fucking garbage, or like, oh, they're the super team that failed. And like, yes, they failed, but also it's not pretend that like this was not a really good team that was dominant the entire split. And
Travis, what was the expectation for Golden Guardians that time?
I think C9 this year should have had way higher expectations than Golden Guardians last year.
Okay, all right.
You think I'm wrong? Like, I don't know. I
think it's like somewhere.
Golden
similar.
Guardians was not expected to be in the finals last year. I don't think
they were good enough as a team. We were
they
like,
were good enough, but not. No, it was not. Their expectations were not what C9's were this split.
I think it was the same. They were a different team, of course, but I think it was the same. I think they were like a top 2 team, and they got blown out in playoffs, but like by Team Liquid at the time. But they, during that entire split, were proving to be a top 2 squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Daily Brew, anything you want to shout out here at the end?
I actually do. I want to shout out Kia first. My wife drives a Kia and it keeps us safe, so I'm very happy for that. I want to shout out Honda. I actually am going to get a Prologue next year because of their marketing with Team Liquid, and I want to support Team Liquid. I have an idea of what I want to do with that. I want to shout out to Raz. I want to shout out Emily Rand, Captain Flowers, Azale, Kobe, and I think what's the other one? Is Mark? Yeah, Mark.
Jad
Mark's
Azale.
the one.
Jad
What's
as
the
well.
other one? Mark.
Jazz, yeah, these guys
we'll
too.
take 'em, yeah.
But I thank you guys so much for making NALCS palpable while we did not have competition to actually keep viewers interested in the league. I think that the broadcast team has also done an excellent job at showing LEC what they should be doing, because G2 can't carry the Legion by themselves. They need help from the broadcast team. And I just want to shout out just to the show in general. I've been watching for a long time. Last time I called, I was in Costa Rica. I was bloody freezing in the mountains. And thank you, Cubby, for not choosing me that time, because I'm actually glad that this is the first time I come on the show.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, hopefully we get you again in the future.
Yeah.
But Travis,
Looking
do we
forward to
still-
coming again.
Yeah.
Travis,
Thank
do we
you so
still
much.
have caller of the day or something like that?
No, we
this
used to
brother-
do. We used to do like a what was it? The Game Fuel Energy Caller of the Night, and then we did like a Grubhub caller. Yeah.
This
We
guy
don't
was the
have that
caller
one
of
right now.
night for sure.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say, look into audiobooks as a side hustle. Just throwing that out there.
Yes.
I think
I
Chat would
would-
agree.
I would listen to any book that this man is spouting.
I would have agreed with you up until he shouted out a competitor to my sponsor, and then I was out.
He said he drove a Kia.
Yeah, and then he shouted out I was like, "Oh, great, we're gonna be able to clip this and send this to the agency," and then it rapidly became like, "Oh God, I hope they don't see this."
It's okay to like 2-car brands, Travis.
No,
True.
this show is sponsored by Kia. Do not buy any other fucking car. All right, let's get into the
TL
next...
never coming on the show again.
Hey, we'll have. I confirm Steve is going to be on on Hotline League this week.
Sweet.
This weekend. So, and then we'll have either Papa Smithy or probably Jungle Juice to talk about whichever team is there. And it is true, by the way. During that call, I made the assumption that 100 Thieves was going to be third seed, and they'd go through plans. Perhaps that is unfair. Perhaps they will stomp FlyQuest and they will make it to the finals. Crazier things has happened.
Yeah, I'm just talking about worst case scenario.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
All right. Next caller.
Yes. Thank you to CJ Foxy for becoming a YouTube member. Juan Bustos for 2 years. Holy crap. I didn't even know that I've had membership on for 2 years. Time is just fading from me and I age every day.
That's your takeaway?
And I'm still alone. Dylan, thank you for becoming a member, and Tahu, thank you for the 17 months. I feel like YouTube is really stepping it up this evening and kind of stomping on Twitch. I don't know. Twitch, despite the fact that it's September, I think the Twitchers they're having some issues. I don't know. Maybe their credit card's getting declined or something. All right. We have David here. David, where are you calling from?
Jersey City, New Jersey. How's it
David,
going?
did you hear what Travis said earlier?
Oh, I've heard every word. I've already
There it
clipped it. I've already got the beginning of this video edited and subtitled.
Perfect.
More receipts for you.
Hey, David,
Oh, yeah.
thanks so much for calling in. Anything you have to shout out before we move on to the next caller?
Do I bring up the car brand that the last one did?
Well,
Out
no,
of,
no.
rebellion?
What do you? Okay, what's your goddamn take?
That, as Kelby May pointed out in chat, we will be seeing 100 Thieves on Saturday. I don't think that's what he intended when he wrote the message, but regardless, 100 Thieves is going to be beating FlyQuest on Friday.
What did Kelby write? Where is this?
He said that 100 Thieves, or the last time we'll see 100 Thieves plays on Saturday. I think he thought that it was the FlyQuest series. He's not up with the
he thought it
times.
was Saturday, Sunday.
He's going to get
yeah.
pissed the moment he finds out we're on a Friday. Don't tell him.
Dude, how many people are going to tune in Saturday thinking that it's the first day, or I don't know?
Oh, he's already typing.
Friday.
They had to schedule it around NFL Sunday, Travis, obviously.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying 100 Thieves is making finals?
Yeah, I mean, we already beat Cloud9. We're already going to the world, so like that's great. But like, let's slow the roll down. We still got series to go before we get there.
Yeah. Okay, so why are they going to beat FlyQuest?
Simply put, the reason that we've seen FlyQuest struggle at times is because they're not all on the same page. And there are some series where they click really well, some series where it just feels like they're a little bit more disconnected. And all it takes, given the form that we've seen 100 Thieves in right now, where they are making snap decisions all together as 5, you see Tomo being willing to go in, Kaisa ulting into 2 of them with nothing but Seekers and somehow staying alive. At the end of the day, if we're willing to make those snap decisions and they are just ever so slightly off, we can take advantage of it. Absolutely.
So you're confident that they're going to make it to the finals, but you're saying like, oh yeah, you just have to have a bad series from FlyQuest?
No, I mean, I think we can still beat them straight up. Like, their weakness is when you put them in pressure situations, sometimes they will get disjointed. And you put them on stage, you never know what's going to happen. So
you're
I've
still
seen
leading
them fail
on the,
and
you
touch
never know what's
moments.
going to happen. How?
Yeah, because I
feel
mean,
like
I don't
your
want to give
whole,
it.
like, they're gonna
If I go with no, if I
worked
go with
last
the boring take of, you know, whoever performs better on the day with and executes their plan better, like that's boring to say, but like it's the truth. Like we've seen 100 Thieves now execute at a higher level.
Also, Travis,
we can
this
see
is
them do
straight
it.
out of your playbook. You're like, anything can happen. My name is Travis.
no. But I don't ever say this will happen because anything can happen. My playbook is maybe this could happen because anything could happen. David's right now saying they're making it to Saturday because it could happen, and I'm like, that does not make sense at all.
Fine, I'll make it definitive for you. 100 Thieves is going to whoop FlyQuest ass on Friday when FlyQuest is disjointed and startled by the fact that 100 Thieves is cohesive and making smart decisions in the mid to late game.
Quinn78 in the Twitch chat says, at Travis Gafford, damn dude, you are biased. I don't. In what world
That's
is
fair.
it biased to think that FlyQuest, who has had a remarkable split throughout the whole season, 100 Thieves, who's been way more up and down, has the advantage against 100 Thieves? I think the
Hey,
person
Travis,
who's claiming that they're biased or that I'm biased is the most biased.
You know that like 10% audience that you like to avoid that like only knows about sports? Have you heard of a thing called momentum?
Oh my god.
It's a very
momentum is
Yeah.
like was a meme on Hotline League for a long time. We would just say momentum. Like for a long time, callers would just call in and they'd be like, yeah, their momentum is just higher. Or they would call in and be like, you know, they just want it more. And like that would be their explanation. And I think people stopped doing that. But if you're
Then let me ask the
caller,
people who matter on the call then, ignoring your bias
yeah,
side.
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Which one of us has
Cubby.
the ability to mute you?
Cubby, how did the Kansas City Chiefs do in the regular season this year?
Lost my Bears.
How'd they do in the postseason?
They did pretty good this past season. They might have won it all. Then not rigged for Taylor Swift at all, who showed up in the NFL promo video 5 times in 28 seconds. But you know, it's fine.
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Contracts
So
and
I
chat
will
says
come
fuck
out-
the Chiefs.
Oh, Jesus. So I will come out. Wait, what did he say? What did he say? I'm looking for it.
All right, come out, Raz. We've been waiting.
Chiefs. Okay, that's good.
You keep saying you're
I'll
going to
come out and say. I mean, I just had to find what contracts had to say, man. Okay. Disjointed. I don't think FlyQuest as a team. I don't think that's their big problem.
I mean, the last 2 weeks of regular season, I would actually agree, but they patched it up in playoffs. Like they've been team fighting really well. So
Yeah, I just think they lose games sometimes when, like, you know, Whip was having an off game or something. Like, that's pretty much my only concern right now is the inconsistency that happens topside. That's just about it. I think Quad's having a fucking inspirational. I need to stop cussing. I told myself I'll stop doing it, and I did it anyways. An inspirational mid lane performance. He's having a great playoffs. Quad is probably the best, if not second best, next to APA mid laner right now during the playoff run. And Inspired, Busio, Quad, Masu, I think they're all on point for the most part. I think their drafts have been great. I think that they've kind of just been leading playoff drafts a bit with the Ivern priority, and it's taken some teams, Cloud9 in particular, a lot of time during their series to adapt to it. So I don't think they'll have Ivern. That's probably the first thing they take away from them. And I'm really curious as to what we're going to be seeing from Pwipo if the Renekton's off the table. The guy just had, like, let's count some of the Renektons in a row. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 Renektons in a row. 10 perhaps. I wonder what they're going to look like if they're put in a different situation. But other than that, like, I have full confidence in FlyQuest. I think they're a team that honestly could have, if not should have, beat Team Liquid on like a Game 5 situation during that last series. Like, that was really close. That was really close. And now I'm actually a believer in if FlyQuest can do damage in the finals. Like, that could go to a Game 5 again. What that means to me, though, is I think 100 Thieves have a lot of catching up to do. I think the one concern that I've had from 100 Thieves, I'd have to watch back some of their games. The prep is already happening, but I think FlyQuest and Team Liquid are great at playing through sides. I think their lane swaps are also quite strong. And I think even though 100 Thieves are really improved in lane swap, I think sometimes they can overgroup and hunt for fights. It's good if you're behind and are desperate. Some of their comps, I think, have been a little bit too forced. I like the Yasuo. The Yone and a Maokai comp was tough for me. And also, the Silas Nocturne one was a tough one. Like, even if they had a lead, that one's really hard to close out. And I think sometimes they fail when they're trying to close out games. So all those questions that I have for me, because they're a pretty bloodthirsty team, sometimes even in their lead during that series that they were beating Cloud9, they were hard trying to throw it because they were doing way too much. They feel like a bit of an ADHD team sometimes in the game during mid to late game. So I think they would have to have a pretty big glow up to beat FlyQuest. But to be fair, I thought the same thing when they were going against Cloud9, so I can just be fucking wrong again.
Dude, Raz, you sound so
Yeah.
biased. Oh my god. So
I'm
biased.
I'm accepting the idea that I could be biased. But guys, we just have to accept when a team is doing better than we expected.
I mean, that was 100 Thieves in the spring too, to be fair. But I mean, I think it's like, obviously 100 Thieves, like them accomplishing this year, I think is like outpacing their goals. So props to them. I don't think they play in the finals. I think that like if I'm going into FlyQuest, the things that I want to prep for or deny is I want a good mid lane matchup, and then I do want to deny Blippo over Renekton. I think that like Renekton's like Blippo's best champ, and you get this thing in like all regular season, and now to see him just randomly get it like every game. I mean, I understand why, because everyone's comfortable with the handshake, including Sniper, but I think the Blippo is just so impactful on this champ, whether he's ahead or behind. So I would actually like, I want to see 100 Thieves take this away. That said, I don't know if they will. I think Sniper's actually like, he's going to be okay playing into it. I think the greatest thing for me, like in terms of 100 Thieves and their growth is like looking back, I know we're going over like some things from their series. Game 4 in the series against C9, Sniper was put really far behind and still found a way to be incredibly impactful and like play his way back into the game, which is honestly something I really haven't seen Sniper excel at. Like usually he plays his way back into the game with solo kills, and yeah, he did it through a couple fights, but he was taking much better angles in terms of some of his TPs and like how he found his way back in, and was getting a lot of credit from some of the co-streamers as well for how well he played that game. That for me was actually like a really good sign of growth from Sniper, because it does feel like he plays a lot better from ahead than he does from behind, which is very reasonable. He's a rook. But that is something that I feel like gives me a little bit more confidence that maybe 100 Thieves can show a little bit more consistency. I still got FlyQuest 3-1. I think that they'll beat themselves / 100 Thieves beats them in one game, and then FlyQuest wins the series pretty easily. So, yeah.
All right, so let's do. I know Cubby kind of just did it, but let's go around and do predictions. Cubby, what are you saying?
FlyQuest 3-1.
FlyQuest 3-1. Raz?
The biggest struggle for me if I go 3-1 or 3-0 for FlyQuest.
I know, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I do think they beat themselves one game.
Yeah, it's possible.
Or I'll give 100 Thieves some credit too. Like they have been playing well. So
yeah, I'll do 3-1.
Yeah,
I'll do 3-1.
I hate the
say
gentleman's
3.
sweep.
I was gonna say 3-1, but now you both said 3-1. I should have gone first.
I do hate the gentleman's sweep.
I'll say FlyQuest 3-0. I think 3-0.
Wow.
David,
I'm
what
not
do you
surprised.
think?
3-200 Thieves. I think it'll actually be a very close series.
Hey!
I just
I
feel
hope
like
it is. Yeah.
the synergy between Quid and River right now is just unmatched. There was a caller like a week or 2 weeks ago, I think, that called it out. That I mean, I get the point earlier of like Quad definitely probably performing second best, but I would argue as a mid jungle duo, the two on 100 Thieves are probably the best duo in the league right now. Bot lane, Masu and Busio are great, but I think if you can just hold some of the early leads that they're able to get, you put us in a 5v5 team fight situation. I think we're getting better and better. I agree. We're at everybody should be predicting FlyQuest. It takes away from the credit that 100 Thieves would then get if we were to cause the upset. I don't want people just flipping to 100 Thieves just because, I'm either loud about it or people were finally starting to buy in.
True.
But it'll make the series more entertaining if we can push it to 5.
You know how I know it's going to be FlyQuest? Because everybody in chat right now that's spamming the predictions, every 100 Thieves person is saying 3-2. No one is willing to go more confident. Like, even the 100 Thieves believers are like, 5-game series.
I mean, I'll take a 3-0, but I prefer 5 games, even if it gives me a heart attack. That's fine.
David, I know you referenced Kelby's previous statements. What do you think of his chat message, which said, only thing 100T is preparing is their thank you LCS video?
I mean, do you got anything to leak for me?
No. Other than I think.
Then what is there to say?
LCS might be getting rebranded, so.
That's true. It could be thank you LCS for all the times as we move into the Americas League.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, if nobody's got any concrete information, it's one of those where it's like, I will not worry about it until the time
No, but I am
comes.
a little bit more confident that Dig's going to stick around now. So I think the people on my watch list are like Immortals, NRG, 100 Thieves, Dignitas still a little bit, but probably not. I mean, I think Fly C9 TL is safe. And I think Shopify, as much as I hate to say it, are probably just going to stick around. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe something weird will happen with them and they'll just be like, oh, fuck, what did we get ourselves into? I don't know.
Is it clear what the situation would be in the case that more than 2 teams want it out? So say 3 want it out. Riot obviously is committed to keeping 6 around.
So I think what happens is Riot has to... Actually, I don't know if this is true. Last year, from what I understood, was that there's a most favored nations agreement in the contract or the deal, and so if Riot's making an offer to one of the teams, they have to make it to all of the teams. This year, I think because the contracts are up for renewal, I don't know. I mean, I think any team could just walk. I don't know what if I don't know how it plays out in terms of if they have to buy out everybody or if they can like with Immortals, for instance. I don't know if they can just say thank you next and pay them very little. I don't know. This year's kind of weird because of the fact that the TPAs are up for renegotiation. So we will see. I would say it'll feel really bad if 100 Thieves goes and everyone's excited about 100 Thieves and then they are not here next year. So
agree.
It would be really weird. I don't think 100 Thieves would go just because you have the biggest boon. Well, I'm assuming, I don't know if you know much on this one, Travis, you're not paying too much for the players. When Quid stuck around, the contract, I'm pretty sure, was minimum. He didn't have a good split last year. So I'm just assuming that this team is cheap and you made Worlds, which is probably just a big boon for your business.
Yeah, the challenge is I just don't know what the 100 Thieves org is in kind of disarray. I mean, they've lost both their leaders this year from what I can tell, and I don't know what their financial situation is. So I don't know if Riot offers them 2.5 million, maybe that's something that they need more than they need to spend 2.5 million next year, Yeah. So
well, I mean, take it for what you will, but Nadeshot has publicly said, even though he's stepping down as CEO and they're bringing in somebody else to do it full time, but he said that esports is core to the business and they just need to hold through. So in theory, if that's true, if what he has said publicly is to be believed, then you would, in theory, if you're at break even for the LCS, why would you get rid of it?
Because maybe you won't be break even next year. I don't think Riot's going to be paying teams the same amount of money that they've been paying them for a while. I mean, Riot's cutting costs everywhere. I would be shocked if they're still supporting them in the same way. I don't know. Maybe that Ahri skin fucking crushed and they're going to be fine. And everybody's going to make a ton of money, but I would not be surprised. It's hard to imagine that the economics of League will not be changing dramatically next year when they rebuild both the TPAs and all the region stuff, and they move from a model that's based off of rev sharing sponsorship and all that stuff to rev sharing more in-game items. I don't know. PP Doc says, but Travis Gafford, the Twitch subs. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to have Hunter T here. I'm talking broadly here, everybody. Please don't read too much into anything I'm saying. I'm not trying to communicate any secret things that I've heard. I am just like, I don't even know if this thing is going to be called the LCS next year, which is why everyone should go buy tickets to watch LCS this weekend. The last matches potentially that the LCS will ever have. Thanks, David, for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
I know 100 Thieves is going to be announcing a bunch of stuff tomorrow. DK teased that in the Discord there, including online stuff for fans that will not be in person, as well as people that are there in person. If you're in the New York City area, come on out to Legends NYC this Saturday. We're having a massive watch party so far. We've got, I think, 124 tickets reserved, rights, and a bunch of swag. We got a bunch of stuff to give away. Cloud Sicky, who does a bunch of interview content and YouTube content, he's going to be there as well. And shout out to Travis for driving the Shine Arcade train ever further and me milking the shit out of the content.
You do, I think, have some people that hate you, much as I do. But I don't actually. I hope people don't think that that's the case.
I appreciate you, David.
Yeah.
I will put this out there. So I don't know if many people know this. There was a Red Bull event that we had here in New York City. I would not have had that gig if it had not been for Travis. So for all the banter that we do publicly, it is nothing but love from my side. I'm assuming the same from Travis's. But I don't want anybody to ever take it wrong.
All right, I'll catch you later. Thanks for the call.
See ya.
All right, we're gonna do a quick sponsor break right now to talk about PrizePicks. Listen, folks. If you have not yet played PrizePicks, please sign up. Make that first time deposit. It's gonna be, look, if you've ever considered doing this and you feel like you could do it responsibly and reasonably, and you're in the position to do it, this week it has got to be a great weekend to do it. You know, the 100 Thieves Fly Quest match, whatever the Team Liquid finals are going to be, go in, sign up. All you got to do is you pick 2 different picks and you choose less or more. So basically you're going to go in, you're going to be like, for instance, do I think that like APA is going to get more than 11 kills in the first 3 games? Or do I think he'll get less? That's an example. They don't have that up yet. It'll be up, I think, maybe as early as tomorrow from the time that we're recording this. And then maybe you're going to say after that, I think that, let's say it's Bwipo. That Bwipo is going to be getting less than 18 assists, as an example. You just need to go in, you make more or less as your picks for the different games that you're playing, and then you submit that. And they have a really cool promo when you sign up with my code, which is Travis, or you can use the link. It's really fun. You can also, they have Caleb Williams. Who's Caleb Williams, Cubby?
Travis, that is my new savior for Chicago Bears football.
Okay. Well, they have a promo right now where you could just, because you can play League and you can play other stuff, just add Caleb Williams, because throughout the month of March, they have a promo where you can choose Caleb Williams, and as long as Caleb Williams gets a single pass yard, then you end up hitting that square. So it's a free square that they're doing every week, I believe, for the month of September. But yeah, either way, you just toss that guy in with whatever you're playing on the league side. If you queue up in the next couple days with a play. So thank you so much to PrizePicks. Please use that link. Doing so, it is the single best way to support the show. Some people ask, like, hey, is it better to sub? Is it better to do this? It's just a really great way to do it. Cubby, I know that you just got a little bit of promo credit that they sent you. Are you making any plays so far? What are you playing? What sports are you playing in?
It's NFL Week 1. We're playing NFL. So I've got Lamar Jackson over 1.5 pass rush or reception touchdowns. It's going to be pass or rush TDs. That and Tyreek Hill over 98.5. There is another promo, by the way, which is Travis Kelce reception yards. Yes, they're trying to get the Taylor Swift audience, but I believe his line is at 58.5, but it's at 40.5. With a special promo. You cannot combine the Caleb Williams and Travis Kelce promos, but you can use them separately up to $25. So I've got a couple tickets in there, which I'm very excited for, Travis. Also, I am unfortunately missing the first Bears game, because I have NACL final, or with Caleb Williams, because I have NACL finals that day. So, I'm showing my allegiance. But the first game that Caleb plays in a Bears jersey, there's going to be a statue of that man outside Soldier Field at some point. He's going to save the city. So I'm pretty excited.
I didn't really understand any of that, but I do appreciate your enthusiasm. Thanks to PrizePicks for sponsoring the show. Please use the link. What?
Lucky for you, I have not referenced once what's going on with FSU football from this past weekend, because there was a fan that said he was going to eat poop out of a Red Solo Cup they lost, and then he deleted all of his accounts, and everyone's trying to find him.
Wait, now you're actually referencing it?
Yeah, I am. It's great though.
Is this Florida State University? I've been there.
Yes, they're
twice.
0-2. They were ranked 10th. They're 0-2, and they're terrible.
I went there twice for some stuff. That was in Tallahassee. I went there for MSI, Tallahassee, Florida. Wait, Raz,
Nice.
you were not there for that, right?
Thank God, no. It would catch me on that side of the country.
Oh, we're not going to follow up with that conversation. Man, you really have it in for Florida in this episode. This is the second time you've crushed. And I'm not saying that Tallahassee's not worth some level of. The fact, dude. Think about all the places Riot has held international events now over the past 12 years. Isn't it so funny that one of those is Tallahassee, Florida? It's just like it only gets funnier with more time.
It is nice.
All right.
At the time, there were great player photos too, because it'd be like EDG players in like bumfuck nowhere in Tallahassee, or like, oh well, there's nowhere to go.
They're
and eat.
sweating their ass off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And having some interesting conversations about cab drivers. All right. We will move on to the next call now, but huge shout out to Misha over on YouTube for becoming a member, then sending a $20 super chat that says, quick follow-up, Raz. I wasn't saying C9 could realistically offer JoJo less. Oh, this must have been our caller. But wondered as a thought exercise whether things would have worked differently in a theoretical world where the money was allocated differently. Then Misha sent 10 gifts to the channel, or 10 memberships over on YouTube. So thank you,
Misha, you're the GOAT.
Misha, for crushing it.
I appreciate you.
Over on Twitch, it's been about 44 minutes since I Am Murder gifted a community sub. Thank you, I Am Murder, for doing so. Badger Yar, thank you for the 35 months. But I'll say YouTube's got it out for you, Twitch. All right, we got our next caller here. It is, oh God, we're just going through the greatest hits right now, I guess. Seanatonin is here. Seanatonin, where are you calling from?
Buffalo, New York. Thanks for seeming so enthusiastic for having me on, Travis.
Dude,
Sean, get his ass!
The New Yorkers, the New Jersey people, they're just they're such characters. All right, Seanatonin, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I noticed, it's been kind of a common like underlying theme of the show tonight, but this is the most amount of players that we're sending to Worlds in just number and percentage wise that we've sent from that have been in the academy system. And I wanted to kind of just highlight NACL.
What academy system?
And because there are some people that were in the academy system when it worked, and now it's challengers. So, yeah. I don't know if you weren't paying attention before Dragonsteel existed, but it was there before.
I was paying attention. I was paying attention when Academy crumbled last year. Whatever Raul let that go away. Anyway,
there we go.
continue.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have 8 out of the 15 players going to Worlds. Last year it was 7 out of 20 because we had the Golden Guardians team as well. So, but I just wanted to highlight those players, talk about how you look at, and it's funny because 100 Thieves going this year, they were one of the first ones to really invest, especially into the 100 Thieves Next, which was a tier 3 team, which the likes of both Busio and Sniper were on, and now we're seeing them make it to and Yon, right? This is something that I think, while we've always talked about this, and I'm so glad we've kind of gotten away from we don't want to see rookies anymore. Now we're actually on the other side of the pendulum. But I just wanted to shout at them, also Spooks, and then Golden Glue and Spawn, because they were part of these systems in Academy, in Challengers, that helped those players get to where they are now. And now all of them are going to be going to Worlds. So I kind of want it's more like a good kind of talk about it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that this is a really great point. It is really impressive to see how this has gone down in terms of, and it's both impressive and heartbreaking, because last year we were told by a bunch of team owners that the academy system was not worth it and that it didn't produce enough talent to make it worth it. And then this year and even last year with NRG, we saw some of the fruits of investing into domestic talent and also into the academy system. So I don't know. I am really excited about the fact that we have so many players going in like this, but I'm sure no one is more excited than Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, I made the point about coaches earlier on. It's a great shout out to Spooks as well. I think that Challengers is a great opportunity to cut your teeth and make sure that like you're ready to go. Even for a player like Quad, who was in LCK for a bit, the story of Quad coming over was that he was a lot better in scrims than he was on stage. And I mean, Quad like is arguably the best mid right now. I think he's making it really close, like with APA in terms of competition. And it's clear that he's playing with a lot more confidence, which I mean, we really saw him do in Challengers. Like I thought Quad was actually kind of playing poorly in the back half of the Challenger split, quite frankly, because he was playing way too aggressive. But he was going for plays and playing with confidence, and we're seeing that now be a lot more calculated on the LCS stage, and it's going really well. So yeah, I think that like seeing these teams use that, and also seeing teams with young players like succeed, it's interesting. Emily and I were talking a little bit in DMs, so I don't want to steal this from Emily, but Emily made a good point that I do somewhat agree with. That when you have a young player or a rookie on your team, you are forced to play a specific style because that player is going to have strengths and weaknesses. They don't have time to be well-rounded as a pro or play in every meta. They just made it because they were good at what got them there. And so it really does like forces you as a team to have direction. And I do see that in every single one of these teams. Like Sniper, you are forced to play with some sort of direction because like we saw in spring and summer at times when Sniper gets camped, it's hard. AP and Yawn are more well-rounded now, but we did see comps and strats for TL be pretty limited, especially like when APA just joined because his pool wasn't big enough for LCS and he played the game that he did. For FlyQuest, I think we've really seen Masu and Busio grow into their own and be able to play more and more bot lanes more effectively. And that's helped them in the other stages of the game where they're already strong. So I think not only using your own farm system to at least prep these talents to go up to the next level, but then also like getting to know them and knowing their strengths and weaknesses, and then how that you can incorporate that into the next level was a huge assist for these teams. And then shout out to Tomo for honestly deciding to keep on playing Challengers, even though he got booted out of Dig, keeping his skills sharp, and then being really the saviors for 100 Thieves in terms of stepping up and stepping in.
Yeah, you made the point about just now, of course, of just like you're forced to play around their strengths and weaknesses. Also, like younger players, lesser experienced players, more importantly, like they're a sponge. Like they will trust and follow the calls from like whatever leadership structure exists. Obviously, if you have Impact, that's an easy button there, or Inspired, that's an easy button there. Just listen. Or like a strong coaching staff, that's easy on top of that. Or even just somebody that's on the team that is even just like has less but is willing to give direction and help and feedback and build. So everybody is naturally going to be on the same page because you're making the direct call. Whereas if you just have a team full of veterans, it can work, but that just depends on how many of the players are going to be open to being malleable, to changing, to playing around each other. So like it is such an easy button to be able to just have some rookies that are talented, that have the ability or are willing to learn and grind, things like that. And of course, just like be willing to open and to listen. And I think that is always the best the best point of having some rookie players on a team full of veterans. And to the point that Sean was making, when Academy was quote unquote crumbling and it was changing and a lot of the LCS teams are moving away from it, like big props to the teams that stuck around like FlyQuest and Team Liquid, because you need a structure underneath to be able to challenge what current structure you have. Like either challenge, the paychecks, be able to say, hey, there's a player right underneath you that's good enough and can challenge you. God, Team Liquid got bailed out for having APA, and he kept running ever since, right? If you don't have that, then you can get pretty lost. My biggest fear is that you go into next year or the year after that, and some of these teams won't know where to pick because you don't have anyone internally that you can build up and really work with. And then the teams that are really successful right now, sure, like there's what's called Fear Starforge, and of course I have gaps of knowledge because I tune in as a fan.
Yeah.
But like Dragonsteel is a team to me that's a little scary because they're a really fucking good team. They're also a collegiate team. Some of those players do not want to play LCS, man. They just want to continue their education. So those kind of conversations are hard because, like, for instance, I'm not gonna say names. I'm not gonna put anyone under a bus or speak for them. But like, it's one of those situations. If you don't have a system underneath you, no matter what it is, kind of similar to like a LPL or LCK. It doesn't matter if you're paying them California prices or whatever. But if you have someone beneath you that you can actually build up as a player to make them ready, and kind of you can say, hey, I think this person has a great mentality, then you're kind of fucked when it comes to actually scouting for the future. I don't want teams to just say, you know what, there's, as they're dusting off the Doritos on them and be like, there's no talent in the NACL. I'm just gonna go to LCKCL one more time and pick someone up from there and just call it a day. Building up a player takes a lot of time, so I just hope that teams continue to invest in NACL and watch.
Yeah. And I wanted to point to your point, like the structure that's been built, like you can look around because like also this is a side note, this is like the first time we're sending all native like ADCs since 2020, which is also the last time Cloud9 did not make it. But the last time that we had a good enough percentage of like academy talent was in 2019, and that was with Clutch Gaming's roster, right? And like we had Blabber and some other people. But you look at the paper trail for people like Empire and Loyola and Papa Smithy, and Kelsey Moser, even though she's not in the scene, but like she was a part of those 100 Thieves Next and the EG scene and everything like that. Andrew Barton, who was at EG, and they had the blueprint of what we were talking about with these young players that you can mold, and putting strong veterans with these players to help mold them and bring the best out of them while also putting them into a place to succeed. And now you're seeing that at FlyQuest with some of those same people from EG, from 100 Thieves, all this stuff. And there are other people who are not, that I'm not naming right now, that also invested in it, but I'm only talking about the ones that are going to Worlds, obviously. But it's so refreshing to see like all of that work kind of come out, and like they can like, not that they would do this, but I'll do it for them. They were right, to invest into it and to stay, especially after what happened last summer. And so I really wanted to just commend them and just like the investment into North American talent, because for so long, I've been watching since before LCS was a thing. We were told we have to import, we got to do this. What you were just talking about, I'm going to look at Challenger League players over in LCK instead. That there is a formula and it does work. You just have to get the right people, or the people who are passionate enough to do it. So I just love
teams
that.
wanted to lift the import rule. Like they wanted to have the ability to run no North American players. So yeah, I hear you, and it's something, a drum that we've been beating for a while on the show, especially in the past year or so.
You actually have been one of the ones that was originally like, I want more. You didn't necessarily say academy talent, but you wanted more talent that was like that you didn't want the one-off imports, and you wanted the people who would stay and build storylines around, which is like another thing that we have great storylines now, like pros, because these players went through the system. Like it builds upon itself. So
yep. Thank you so much, Sean, for the call.
Can I add one quick thing?
Yeah.
The two teams in Dragonsteel and Fear Starforge that did make it to finals and will represent NACL and America's Challengers. These were the two teams, Dragonsteel for the whole split and Fear Starforge for the back half of regular season and playoffs, that were actually in person. I sincerely feel that is a huge part of developing these players. It's really tough to drill that stuff in remotely as a coach And also in terms of player motivation, it's a lot easier to keep focused and grinding when you're in a room with 4 other people that are doing the same, and then you can talk to them, bounce ideas off them. I do think that is part of like, even when Raz says, like this is a college and they may not want to pursue pro. I really feel like the fact that they were a team of 5 all year in the same room does help them develop. And I know that we changed how things work in Americas, and it's really tough to bring them out for, a place to like LA. But I think that if you're going to do it and do it right, you do need to have these people in person. So, yeah.
Thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, definitely shout out PrizePicks, NZXT, and Kia. Kia cars look really, really pretty on the road, man. Like, I think it's like the E5 or something like that. It's like the electric one that they have. That thing is like super sick looking. It's like what the Cybertruck or Tesla wishes their cars looked like, in my opinion. I also want to shout out all of Blue Otter and Thin Uncle Phil and all those guys over there. It was a little bit short of a run, but that was like my dream team. And I think they were overcoming a lot of adversities that Covey was talking about. And I'm really, really excited for Hotline League Live. I'll see you there. And just thank you so much for everything and being so happy to see your 70-month sub on here, which you were so, excited about from the beginning.
Thank you. Catch you next time.
Don't you feel bad now, Travis?
Can we turn this into a copy pasta? Jerome over on YouTube wrote, I despise Travis the Gathering. He destroyed his cred being a shill for Riot to fill his pockets, and then afterwards flipped 180 acting like that never happened. Now he needs magic money.
Travis the Gathering.
Now I need magic money, and so I'm trying to understand the logic of this. He destroyed his cred being a shill for Riot to fill his pockets, and then afterwards flipped 180 like that never happened. So I filled my pockets by being a shill for Riot. Was it Riot that gave me the money, but now I need the money for Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, because you make a lot of money. It's not like you're spending your entire fucking, interest and everything on cards that mean nothing in life, Travis.
Raz, when you move that far away from the mic, no one can hear shit.
All I'm saying is that these cards are meaningless, Travis, but you spend all your money on them, okay? I say as I spend a lot of money on FIFA. But yes, Travis Gathering, I'll be using that more frequently.
God, that should have been the name of my Magic channel.
Oh my god!
It's early. You can change it.
I know. It's probably too long. Also, it's kind of goofy. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it's endearing though.
Dude, the way they wrote, now he needs magic money, like it's like a drug, like, oh yeah, he got addicted to Coke or something, and now he's...
I mean, opening the packs is pretty sweet, no?
This room is in unique chat mode. Travis, you need to get that out of that mode.
I'll turn off unique chat mode right now so that everybody can spam the new copy pasta.
Perfect.
I don't know how to do that. I'm going to have Numi do it. She'll have to turn it off. All right. Let's get into the next call. Shout out for guys, I need my magic money. Please give me my magic money. You know who's giving me magic money? Raging Pianist, who resubbed for 6 months. Thank you, Raging Pianist. I assume was it an advanced sub? No, I don't think you advanced at 6 months. Either way, thank you for the 50 months, Raging Pianist. And then thank you for gifting a sub to Kelby. I can't believe he didn't sub himself. He just sits in the channel and shitposts. Also, thank you to Misha for the $10 super chat, who wrote, I despise Travis the Gathering. He destroyed his cred. We got Yami here. Yami, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the DMV. Thank you for having me on the show tonight.
From the DMV?
Like DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Oh,
area.
Oh, wait to be.
Oh, what?
DC, Maryland, Virginia. Initials are DMV.
Nah. You knew exactly what you were doing when you said that.
Nice.
Wait, is that what you call it? Is that actually what it's called?
Yes.
Oh my
People
god.
around here call it.
That's insane. What do you call the DMV then?
The DMV.
All right. Well, there we have it.
But when you're in the DMV, you're not going to the DMV.
Yeah,
I mean, like when you're you're not going to say like
DMV.
I'm going to the DMV. You're just like I'm going to the DMV, and people know you're going to the DMV.
It's like,
my
are you
God.
working overtime?
Yami, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I was calling in. So I was a caller who called at the beginning of the split to say that TL was going to go undefeated in the regular season. And so first of all, I would like to congratulate myself for being right. There were some doubters out there, but it was a really convincing run in the single round robin that is kind of not comparable to other similar runs, but we're going to say that it is. But my take for tonight is that TL is actually being overhyped in playoffs, and I think there is actually a decent chance they don't win on this Saturday. And I can elaborate on that. But
Yes, please do. Who do you think they're facing, first off?
100 Thieves, obviously. No, I think it's going to be FlyQuest. And I think it's going to be a pretty well-rested FlyQuest after their 3-0 series versus 100 Thieves.
Oh, wow. Pretty well rested. They're going to 3-0. They're going to make everyone who bought tickets to Friday be like, that was not worth it. Then they're going to go home and get a nice fat sleep before they get ready for the Team Liquid match. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Basically, the kind of core of my arguments are the lower bracket buff. I think we have to consider that over the past, 3-4 years of LCS, we have a slightly, I think it's like 6-5 in favor of the team coming from the lower bracket beating the upper bracket team. And I think that's because they end up playing so many extra games, getting so many more reps in, that they just have time to refine their game. And that's going to be a big advantage, especially with the bye that we had in this version of the bracket, because TL has basically only played, actually, is it only the one series? No, they've played 2 series. Right? They've not played very many series. So they've not played too many series. I think as we kind of saw in the FlyQuest series, their meta read is a little bit shaky when they are pushed. And I think that they're still trying to figure out, especially as lane swaps have become less common. I think that was a thing that we saw them kind of struggle with, is playing through standard lanes. I think a lot of the hype for them in playoffs really came off of their performance in the FlyQuest series, which was a really dominant. Sorry, in the T100T. I watched too many league series.
Yeah, you're good. T100T.
That's fair.
Where's the T? Where's the one? We never know.
Same team, honestly.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, you heard
young top laner, mechanically talented.
Yeah.
You heard Sniper. He's coming for Zeus. But no, I mean, so I think we're looking at the people were reading too much into that series, and it was a really dominant series. But I think at that point, 100T they came into playoffs as our 5th seed, and I think at that point they were kind of playing like our 5th seed. And so I understand why people can look at that and say, okay, TL looked really dominant. You have people like Keijo saying like, oh, is this the best team in the West? Which, okay, actually they might be the best team in the West. EU looks really bad this year, but
yeah. I think we've generally got it though. I don't know if there's anything you want to add here.
Yeah, no, just it was a really close series versus FlyQuest. Went to 5 games. I think Game 5 was kind of a flip. It could have easily been like a 3-1 series in favor of either team. I just think it's a lot closer than some of the narratives around the upcoming match would suggest.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Do you guys think it's not close? I feel like it's close.
I actually think that it's less close than what a lot of people are making it out to be. I think TL is going to win harder than they did against FlyQuest in their first meetup, if it is FlyQuest.
Wow. Okay, so you are on the opposite. Go ahead, Cubby, go for it.
I think the games that TL won, like Game 5, they lane swap, that was dominant. Game 1 and 2 for each team, like rather dominant. But for me, I think that TL, their wins, they get a lead and then they play the map out cleaner and win faster. Whereas FlyQuest, like their games, it feels like they kind of have to fight their way into the game or fight their way out of the game. Like even Game 2, the end scoreline ended up being like 3-20. And TL had that game pretty competitive for the vast majority of it, even if I felt like the ASOL and FlyQuest were going to outscale, and they ended up doing so and winning some fights. But I think FlyQuest does team fight really, really well. I just don't know how many times they're going to be able to do that on an even level as much as they were able to do so in that series against TL. So I think that TL are actually going to win harder against FlyQuest.
So my job a lot of the time is to kind of hype our teams that are the best. If you're the best team, really hammer in the fact that they're the best team. That being said, the reality is I do think it's much closer than people expect. A lot of the times, like throughout the split, I don't think it was a clean split from Team Liquid. Like, yes, they were perfect in terms of series score, but not. Like we have how many games? Like how many series? We don't play that many games to begin with, and they lost like 3 games. And then a lot of their lane swaps, they do like their game 1 lane swap versus 100 Thieves. They fell behind early. They couldn't make the dive top side. Impact was in a pretty tough position. They recovered easily, really well. They're a great team at being able to make solid, consistent calls throughout the game. And then there was the NRG week 7-1 where was it? Which one was that one? Oh yeah, that was when Umpty fell behind because he got killed on an invade when he was going for an invade. Let's just say basically in a lot of games they don't. And also their what was it? It was a Shopify Rebellion series that was pretty messy. They play messy series at times. They make mistakes at times. Like they're not an untouchable team like that's being perceived right now. They're not astronomically farther than like a FlyQuest. Or if Cloud9 got their shit together, Cloud9 would have been close because of the mechanical skill that they had if they just got better in team fighting. And Cloud9 had a pretty good series there. FlyQuest, I think, are really rounding out well. Their drafts are smart. Their play has gotten better, like astronomically. Their bot lane is no longer a weakness like they were in spring. They are now a strength for the team. And now I'm just looking at just like consistently strong decision making from them, and hopefully like a strong decision making tree from top lane. Like that's what I want to see, and I think it can get to a 5-game series, and I think that FlyQuest will win. Do I predict FlyQuest to win the series? No, but do I think that it is like not going to be a close series? No, it's closer than a lot of people are giving it credit for. And if you talk to the players, they're confident. Yes, they're supposed to be confident, but also mechanically, they're really close. I would even say that like some teams are stronger mechanically, but Team Liquid is just a smarter team. So
I mean, if you're gonna slap odds on who wins between a TL and FlyQuest matchup, like I would be giving TL a 75% chance. Like are you higher or lower?
I'm lower. I'm thinking 60.
Okay.
But it's still leaning towards Team Liquid. But I'm
going to say
genuinely
67%.
That's very specific.
Well, what do you said 75? What do you said 60? Okay. I'm going to hang out in the middle.
All right.
And I round down. I don't know. I think TL's got this. I do agree that there's a chance that things go awry, and I do agree that having more matches in playoffs is often very helpful. But I think this Team Liquid team is going to do something that a few select really remarkable North American teams have done before, which is just have an utterly astonishing and beautiful summer split, win finals, and then just completely trick us and scam us as we lose at Worlds with them. And so that's my prediction for what this team. No, just kidding. But no, I think.
Wait, they're gonna get in shape for Worlds. They're not gonna let us down there. They're gonna need a break.
You should want them to lose if you want them to do well at Worlds, because I feel like this is like the thing that happens is we all get our hopes up about a team and we go, no, this team's not like the other North American teams that we've said before. Look at this first seed, they're so good, and then they show up and just start losing. I'm just kidding. I'm sure I only say that because I've been burned before. I've been hurt so many times. But I do think this Team Liquid team is really good, and I think that they should be fairly competitive on the international stage, which is why I really firmly believe they're favored to FlyQuest. But I don't know, something crazy could happen.
It's just an issue of degrees. That's all it is. I think we all believe Team Liquid is a strong team. It's more so about like how good is FlyQuest? Do we think that they won't choke as much. Like, I am just looking at top lane. That's all it is for me. I know Bwipo has a really dynamic champion pool. So far, that hasn't been the case in playoffs at all. But if you're going to 4-5, Bwipo's can easily pick some crazy ass shit and play a good game. But whenever the pressure is there, I'm always questioning it. So we just have to see it.
The one thing I want to see FlyQuest actually switch up if they do go into TL is I thought Inspired played the Amumu Malachi matchup like about as good as you can, but I despise that matchup and I despise Malachi. Like, please get this champ out or prioritize it more. I think Malachi is just like super game breaking right now.
Malachi's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're like when you pick. I'm anti Amumu right now. I think like when you pick Amumu, you're just signing up to be like so one dimensional. So, yeah.
Yami, thanks so much for the hype. Is there anything that you want to shout out here as we say goodbye?
Yeah. So I would like to. I want to shout out Raz. You're funny on the broadcast. Obviously, the whole broadcast is really great. Content the past 2 years, especially, has been really amazing. What else? I want to shout out my high school friend, Happy Blue Guys' gamer tag. I'm not going to dox him, but he watches Hotline League, so this will be a fun surprise for him at the end. And I want to shout out NZXT and KIA for sponsoring this show and letting me have something to listen to on my Monday night / Tuesday mornings.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call. Thanks for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right. We are officially in overtime, everybody. We've got 2 more callers to go. I appreciate Raz is always down to hang out, so I feel like
I think I've been on an overtime every time because I truly don't care.
I wonder why. What's the common element? By the way, shout out to KIA. We've been talking about KIA a ton, but listen, folks, we're gonna be by the way, hello NACL Raiders who came in. I should have said something, but that was 10 minutes ago. Thanks to NACL Raiders that are coming in. If you are coming over from that stream and you haven't heard yet, or maybe you haven't been paying attention to the rest of the show, we're doing a live episode of Hotline League. Cubby and I are going to be on stage Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at FanFest on the KIA stage. It's going to be a great time. Really looking forward to it. We have some cool guests that are already lined up. We're going to line up some more over the next couple of days. And we're going to be taking folks from the audience up onto stage. It's the first time we've done a live Hotline League in over a year, and I'm really, really excited that we're getting the chance to do this, and it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for KIA. And so I know that they've been getting some love throughout the year, but I really want to make sure that everybody understands how awesome it has been that they've come in to be so supportive of our scene. I know there's always some people being kind of doomer, but if we didn't have brands like KIA, we wouldn't have the LCS and third-party content around it. So thank you so much to KIA for sponsoring it. You're going to get while you're there, you're going to be able to get a chance to take a look at a really awesome new KIA vehicle that's coming out. We'll be showing and talking about it on the show that day, but it's going to be really exciting to just see all of you there. And I really, really appreciate KIA allowing us to do the show. We'll also be live on their stage on Friday with some general interviews as well, so tune into that as well. But thanks again to KIA for sponsoring Hotline League. All right, we're going to speed run these next 2 callers since we are in overtime, but
let's go.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. And thanks again to Kelby for the 10 gifted subs. It's great to see that he supports, much like KIA, some really great community content, And then NACL, it is super cool that NACL rated us. We got 1,000 viewers that came in through that. Just more examples of all the ways that I've lined my pockets from shilling for Riot. Either way, we got Iceshredder here. Iceshredder, where are you calling from?
Hello, I'm calling from Northern Colorado.
Northern Colorado. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take was that I felt like that the narrative around the KIA Rookie of the Year felt more like the Rookie of the Split, as people overlooked the spring accomplishments too much and completely wrote off Sniper because of it.
So in what ways do you think Sniper was written off? Just the spring not being weighed as heavily?
I think he was written off because of the recency bias in summer. Obviously, he didn't have the best regular season, and neither did 100 Thieves. But he was crushing it in spring, especially for his first split with all the solo kills, and they finished second in the regular season. And I felt like it being a year-long award, they should have weighted people should have weighted spring heavier.
Okay. Raz, what do you think?
What was the? Let me double check. I'm trying to think about LCS All Pro and Spring Split.
I think Sniper was second in spring.
Where was Masu at? Did Masu hit it?
Third.
I'm pulling
maybe?
it up. 2024 LCS Spring Split Award. So we had.
I see it now. Yeah, Masu was at third.
Yeah, Sniper was at third. Masu was at third.
Oh, Sniper was third. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it was overriding it. I do think there was a big focus that Masu was performing well in summer, and that wasn't the case for Sniper in like comparison. If you were thinking about my votes, God, I don't even remember who I voted 2 and 3. I think I had Sniper and Thanatos. To me, it was interchangeable. So I don't think that's true at all, because it was difficult between the two. And I do think, to your point, there are people, this happens every fucking year when it comes to the All-Pro votes or anything like it, are very recency biased. That always comes out to be the case. I complain about it almost every time. Like there was one time where like Abadaga had a great first half as a split, and then we started to run it down in the final 2 weeks, and then people suddenly don't even care about him. I'm like, guys, like, where is the recency? Why are we just going that recency bias? Like, I'm sure... Like it made me cringe. This one is not the case at all. Masu had a great spring, getting like third All Pro, and in general, like I thought he had great games overall. And then he came into summer and only got better. Whereas I think the drop off for Sniper was actually a lot more significant. And the top lane pool I thought was even worse. There was a moment where I was voting for top lane pool in summer, and I was like, I know Bwipo had a rougher summer split. And I was challenging myself to see who I can put in third, and it was going to be between Sniper and Castle. And I know some people had voted Castle, but almost everyone from the bottom half of the top lane pool. I know it's a lane swap meta, and if your team is worse, then you just play like shit. It's just like there's nothing you can do. But they also just played poorly on top of that. So I thought top lane pool was a little weaker this split.
Raz, if you thought so highly of Masu in spring, why didn't you vote for him at all for All Pro?
I know that he got there, but I thought there was a better All Pro. I'm trying to remember what was my vote.
You
were looking at it.
Your
vote
was...
Tell me.
Who was second team? It was Bvoy, Berserker, Masu.
You voted Berserker, Bvoy, and Meech.
Yeah, I thought Meech had a great split, and people were overlooking it.
I'm just teasing. I pulled up the receipt, so I thought I could catch you.
So, and I think it's really important to think, like, I thought the 80 carry pool was pretty good that time around too. And I thought Masu did well, even though he wasn't in my top 3. But I thought that doesn't mean that he didn't have a good spring. I thought he had a great spring. So he had a great spring. He only got better in summer. He was the most consistent, and I value consistency. So I think that's the mentality.
I will say, like, in some fairness to Sniper, like, if I had a ballot, I would have voted Masu. But if I'm going to put the other hat on and make the Sniper argument, I would say that consistency is harder in top lane, especially if you're a rookie, and especially in this meta. But actually, B, I think the best argument for Sniper is that both splits, for me, he was just more important to his team and the success of 100 Thieves. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Masu in saying this, but like for me, when I see that team is more so off of the performances of like Bwipo and Quad, and are they going to be the ones to step up and then be able to make space for Masu later on, who is a very consistent performer on that team, right? But I think like looking at 100 Thieves, they also kind of lived and died by Sniper and what he was able to do. Like the games that they were able to win and beat good teams, it was off of Sniper's good performances. And I do think that he had some stinkers in there that really hurt 100 Thieves. But if I were to make the argument, it would be that Sniper is just a more important player to 100 Thieves than Masu in his rookie year. I remember like we had Sven on as a guest in spring. He was like, arguably Sniper's probably like the second or third most important player on that team, whereas Masu's fifth. And that was like really where he was hyping up Sniper, which I thought was a really interesting point.
Yeah.
I just went through my votes right now for summer. Dude, it's actually Google searching this is actually so hard. I just get to a LOL esports broken link and I'm getting mad. But so that's another topic altogether, and Travis can take that battle for me. But yeah, I had Masu, Sniper, and Thanatos, and I thought it was pretty close for Sniper and Masu. If Sniper had a slightly better summer split, then I think he would have gotten it. So I don't think people were looking past Spring on this decision. I think it was more so if you're weighing both in an equal weight. Sniper had a larger drop off where I felt like Masu was just behind him in Spring and had only gotten better. So it was like him just edging him out.
Right. I don't know. I value consistency too. It was a difficult decision for me. It's really, I think we're just both lucky, or that we're lucky that we had both these players in the league this year. But I don't know. Ultimately, it went the way that it did. Iceshredder, anything that you want to shout out here at the end?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'd like to shout out my wife who's asleep right now, which is why I'm talking a little quietly. Shout out NZXT also. Even before you were sponsored by them, I've been telling my friends that I think their computers are sick, and if they're looking to get a full new one, to just buy from NZXT because it's a lot less hassle and they make good stuff. And lastly, shout out Emily on the cast. I think she does awesome work on there, and the whole cast in general, honestly. It's been fun to watch. So
You should stay tuned to the show.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Iceshredder, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Hell
thanks,
yeah.
bye.
Raz, you
Emily's
mentioned...
saying no, but go on.
Go say your thing.
Emily's saying no, but no, like, please just shower her full of fucking praise. Her casts are incredible, and she's always down on herself. Like, we need to whenever she's putting out the sad frog, we need to counter it at all costs. Her casts have been great.
You mentioned the LOL eSports website. I want to read this email I got through my website this week, Raz.
Okay.
It says, backstory. I live in Israel, 33 years of age. I have 2 beautiful children, and I work as a crane operator from 7 to 18 every day, which is crazy. I think it's 13 hours. Am I correct in that? How does that work? Either way, I'm American. I don't know how to do this. Because of the time difference, I can't watch the LCS live, so for the past 9 years, I've been watching the LCS on VODs. I won't go in deep on all the ways I tried to watch without any spoilers, but it wasn't easy and sometimes impossible. But now the LOL eSports website was upgraded, and I finally have a place where I feel confident that there will be no spoilers and the VODs work smoothly and comfortably. I know you had a lot of accusations about the site, and for some reason I believe they fixed and improved it thanks to you. I've been watching your content for a few years, and I want to say thanks. You have a big influence on the LCS. They reference you on broadcasts, and Mark Z as as good a friend of yours that listens to your opinion and more, and it shows for the good. Thank you. Keep it up. So,
what is this, your burner?
No, this is an email I got this week. I sent it to Mark.
From your second email account?
I screenshotted it and sent it to Mark. And I was like, and Mark said, what was his response? Maybe I'm not allowed to say it.
This is the suck of the century.
You saved LOL eSports and the website, hand-coded it yourself. So see, even Mark agrees with this person.
Yep, there you go. Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not going to talk about how the website was having issues with spoilers like in this past couple of weeks, but you know, it's fine.
I know. So
no, shout out to that's a very nice email I got, and I appreciate it. I don't think that I am the person responsible for fixing the LOL eSports website, but I do appreciate the support from people who, when I advocate for stuff.
Yeah, the anger that I had just a moment was when I was trying to find the All-Pro vote. I Googled 2024 All-Pro LCS and stuff, and there was a link for the LOL eSports. I click it, and it's like, article not found. And I just found out it's because if you go to the global link thing, you have to go to English NA and not English EU West. Then you'll just go to it just pissed me off. Why is it that hard? Why am I automatically on the Great Britain link instead of the North American link? And why does that matter?
I try to find like the Needham letter from last year where he was talking about the global esports, and also I think the post that they made about franchising. This was like a month ago or something. When they first announced permanent partnerships or whatever, and then I was getting all these 404 errors on the LOL eSports website or page not found. And I was like, did they just delete all this stuff and shame? And I'm like, oh no, it's actually just because they've changed the website so many times now that it doesn't, all the old links break.
Yeah.
All right. We have one last caller, but I want to shout out Travis the Gathering, also for gifting a sub to Raz, and Leo the Chosen for the tier 1 over on YouTube. Misha continues to be very generous with another $10 super chat and 5 memberships. I think Misha's like 90% of our YouTube super chats today. So thank you. All right.
Wait, I was gifted?
What's up? I'm gonna hang out in honor of the new copy pasta from that lovely individual in the YouTube chat. I am gonna hang out after stream and do some magic stuff. So that's what I'll be doing. Emily's here.
Gifted me?
No, you got gifted from Travis the Gathering. Emily's here. Emily, where are you calling from?
Culver City, California.
Culver City, California. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Actually, so I do have a take, but I just wanted to say as a starter, I am sad that so many of my articles are lost due to broken links on the LOL eSports website. Pretty much anything I wrote there is dead, and it's sad.
No.
What I was going to do is essentially, I was going to call in earlier and then just hang. But basically, I wanted to explain what the NL thing actually is, the NL solution, which is something that I was talking about with Kelsey on making the rounds as to why super teams fail.
The NL solution sounds like one of those jokes where you're gonna then prank me and I'm gonna say, what NL solution? You're
no!
like, NL these. what are you talking about?
Sadly, no. That probably would have been more entertaining for the
Or it'd be like a penguin drum reference.
Yeah. Oh man, such a good show. Anyway, NL, if people don't remember who he was an AD carry for the old Flash Wolves team. And I remember talking to Kelsey about this in the press room in 2016, I think. And also a LMS follower at the time, Xander, who was also doing press. We were basically talking about how we had this wild theory that you couldn't say publicly because it's basically like admitting that a player has like a really obvious weakness that the team is playing around. But it's basically that if you have a player on your team who has really specific things, like only specific things that they can play or a really specific play style, and they come onto the team, it gives you direction. And this isn't always the case, but it actually worked really well for Flash Wolves, in spite of the fact that NL also ended up becoming a lightning rod for whenever they did poorly, because they're like, he can only play Ezreal and even then not great. But it basically does force you to come up with really specific solutions. And I liked how Core put it in regards to APA coming onto the team when I was talking to him on Pros, where he was like, yeah, so APA comes onto the team in emergency substitution, and we're like, what do you play? And he's like, I play Ziggs. And they're like, okay, we'll have to come up with ways to play around Ziggs. And so I think a lot of times, especially when there is an emergency substitution, one of the reasons why there can be this honeymoon phase is that you are forced into a specific direction, and that ends up unifying the team in a way, which I think is just a really, really interesting, like conceptually, right? Because the opposite of that is what you'd call building like a traditional super team where everyone is like top, 3 in their role in the region or something like that, like top 5 in their role in the region. Or you're building a super team for brand value, which is a whole other thing. And also, by the way, not something I think teams are going to stop doing, even with the failure of C9 this year, even with the prior failures of Team Liquid, etc. I think there will always be teams willing to build more around like the brand value of their stars. But I thought it was just interesting conceptually, and so I just wanted to clarify it because Cubby brought it up earlier as to like what I was talking about with that.
How'd you like OMG Uzi? Big fan.
we don't talk about that year. That is whenever someone says super team, that is actually like the OG super team that I think of, honestly.
Yeah.
Was that so? Wait, Emily, was that your take or was that just your clarification?
No, that's my take and clarification. Like, I actually think it's significantly better, even if you have a perceived like weaker player or a player with a very obvious weakness.
Yeah.
To give a team a direction to play around, especially if that team is already struggling because of like infighting, or they don't always agree on how to play the game, et cetera, et cetera. Like if you have someone coming in who's like, this is my champ pool and maybe I can improve it as we go, but like off the start, this is what I've got. And then your team has to essentially be like, okay, that's what you've got, and we'll work on other stuff, but we need to come up with a way to play now that's going to be cohesive. I think it can really give teams direction.
You know who this reminds me of? The
Don't say OMG Uzi.
No, actually, no. That would be really funny, and that sounds exactly what I would do. Just the fun.
It's like, God damn it, Raz.
But it's the winner of the Prime League, the king of Germany, Power of Evil. Like Power of Evil is somebody that like was an incredible control mage player, and I think like teams that really understood it and played around it, like even hearing from players that had played along with him, said that he was playing a control mage, he would literally tell you in detail how the lane would go, and it would give a lot of direction to the jungler and the team as a whole how to play around it. Like it's one of those things where it's like having someone who is an expert at a specific thing or is like really good at one thing can really help like streamline and make something easier. So like I love how you said the NL solution. I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I forgot NL even existed, and how ironic the ID never loses meant. But
True, he never loses. I think he's still streaming actually.
He might.
I used to be for years. I would go on Twitch and like the top streamer at times would just be NL with like a ton of people watching. I'd be like, wow, NL still has like a lot of power.
Yeah,
cool.
He must be a great personality. But yeah, it does help. And the weird thing that hurts every team is when the honeymoon phase ends and the team's like, I know you're really good at Azir, Cassio, and all this thing, but like the meta has Lucian in it. And we really want you to play this. Otherwise, like it's hard to play our drafts out. And then you just lose your identity because then you're trying to play something that you simply cannot play and it's over. So I think as long as you have a team that has good head on its shoulder, coaching staff that is able to like direct well and keep everyone bought into kind of like your thought process and your system, then it's great. Perfect. It's beautiful.
Emily, anything you want to shout out?
Making the rounds, and my co-host Kelsey Moser. We recorded a new episode this morning. We spent very little time on LPL and LEC, sadly, and more time on LCK, and then a ton of time on C900. So if you want to know my takes on that, you can listen to that show.
Emily, I'm a little disappointed.
Also, I'm on the LCS broadcast.
That's true.
Making
and
the
shout out
rounds.
to Raz.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to shout out that's happening this Friday and Saturday?
LCS finals. Come, you can see me in person. That's actually not a draw. You can see some really fun League of Legends game.
That is a draw. Fuck you, man. That's a draw. What the hell?
No, but in all
I am
honesty,
picking your short ass up, and we're going out to FanFest.
We should. I'll go out to FanFest. I want to do live Hotline League, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys should come to
Yeah,
Live
it'd be fun.
Hotline League.
Yeah.
We'll be Cubby and I
Depends
will
on
be
our
waiting.
rehearsal.
I know. All right, Emily, thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
No worries. Thanks for allowing me to explain my NL takes, if any. Raz didn't even remember NL, and I was kind of relying on him too.
Yeah,
I did
was
not
like,
either.
what are we saying? The moment you started saying like, "Oh snap, yeah, Flash," okay, that made a lot of sense. But I was like, NL Theory, the hell?
Everyone forgets him, just like Gimgoon.
Yeah.
Catch you next time.
Man has a world championship. Bye.
Mhm.
All right.
Good old Goon. Give me
That
the
is
goon.
the show. Everyone stick around on stream because I will be keeping the stream on afterwards, and I'll want all of your company. But I'm going to let all these folks say goodbye, and we're going to wind down the show. Cubby, what plugs and shout-outs do you have?
Shout out to Raz and the LCS broadcast. I know that a couple folks, appreciated Raz's humor. This guy really knows his stuff. And also Raz gave me some notes on my last cast, which he does with me and a lot of the other broadcasters. It's always very much appreciated. Not to mention being a common face here. So
Now, do you
appreciate
solicit
Raz.
those notes?
No, actually I didn't this time around.
No,
But
dude,
sometimes
that
it
is
just happens,
Raz
you know?
101. He
Yeah, I
loves to
mean-
give me unsolicited notes.
I had some good. It was some good ideas in there.
His
so I
favorite-
appreciated it.
His favorite international tagline was "Take notes" because
Take notes.
that was that's what he wants everyone to be doing around him.
not take notes.
Dude, I do yell take notes every single time. Every single time I see someone throw up the emotes, I'm like, take notes!
Yeah,
Unironically. But yes, I am a big unsolicited feedback type of giver.
it's
And
nice.
I'm usually like, sometimes when I get feedback to someone new, I'm like, let's hope they don't take this poorly. I just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Rafa knows
The
from playing League of Legends with me.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Those are tough sometimes, you know.
I was like, Rafa, do you want some feedback?
Besides that, shout out to NACL Finals the day after LCS Finals. That's going to be in the Riot Games Arena. You can get tickets. You can go to Watch NACL on Twitter if you want those. They're cheap. And we have a really good final between Dragonsteel and Fear Starforge. Also, tune into the promotion tournament throughout this week as teams are fighting to get back in NACL. We're going to find out who gets back in between CCG and AoE. So we're going to have one returning team, and we'll see if they can make it past that throughout the rest of the tournament. I'm going to be VOD reviewing. I'm way behind, so I'm going to be streaming a ton the next few days. So tune into my stream at CubbyXX, and then also my YouTube. It's the same. And shout out to Travis and you guys, Kia, especially all the sponsors, PrizePicks, NZXT, but Kia especially. I've never been able to do a live Hotline League, and I'm really excited to do so on Saturday, and hopefully see a lot of you guys in the chat, just in and around the stage. I'm really looking forward to it. So it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it is really fun. So
yeah.
Raz, what do you want to shout out?
Ooh, okay. This is gonna be really, really, cringe, but we're gonna go for it. Shout out to you, the viewers. No, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll be quick. Shout out to my broadcast mates. It's always fun. Everybody knows how it feels like to be in a work environment where you have somebody just makes working fucking difficult. I remember when I worked at Starbucks and there was that one person that I just hated. If I knew that I'm working with them that day, God, it was gonna be a long day. But genuinely, every single person that I work with is incredible.
And now that Mark's gone, you can say that.
Oh, thank God. I don't.
That's how I feel about Hotline League,
But that's even. I feel like Mark is incredibly approachable, obviously, and so you always wonder is that brother gonna change with that success? The answer was yes. No, he did not change. He did not change, and he's very approachable. So I always feel like everybody, it's super easy to work with. Everyone is always a great vibes. Working with consistently on the desk with the producers, the directors, everybody there, Emily, Jad, which is a consistent trio within the desk, but also any pro players that come on. Also, just the fact that we have had so many pro players on our show as a guest in the cast with pros, a show that's something no one has ever thought of before. But we finally were able to get something where we have a competent host work with pro players.
Dude,
that's
this
revolutionary.
Okay, hang on. Let me pop off about this. This week, I go into the studio and I'm like, I want to interview Sniper. This is such a big thing. I want to interview Sniper. I missed last week. I can finally interview him after this huge win. 100 Thieves player, come on. I submit for Sniper, and I hear back actually Sniper's unavailable for interviews because he has post content. And I'm like, I wonder what's the deal. And then I look and I see fucking Sniper on pros. And I don't even know. I don't understand. There's 30 minutes before that pros episode comes on. I could have done an interview with Sniper. That's why I don't have a 100 Thieves interview this week. I have one with Blabber. But I would have liked to have that. Anyway, Raz, what have you done?
And the last one is I genuinely the community. Because whenever it comes to finals events, it's what really fucking gives me energy. I remember during the COVID times, I was kind of hate everything, especially when you're going through the trials and tribulations of what COVID means, aka getting a swab shoved up your nose every week, praying to God you don't get COVID because it's gonna kill you. And I mean, yes, sometimes literally, but also you'll just be in bed and then not have to work for multiple days. So I was and also you go to the studio and there's no one there. But anytime I go to a finals event, Houston was amazing for me because I was wow, this is incredible. FanFest is great. Exactly, we're back. FanFest was great. The fans are always super jazzed and excited. Same with Jersey. Like I'm sure, you know, I'm like happy that I just have to take an Uber to go to the place, but also sad that I'm not actually traveling around North America. But like this will not be different. Finals events like these always give me energy because I love being able to see people. And also you guys, the viewers, like always looking at chat and seeing people pop off and have hot takes and know that they're about to get in some shit because the moment they put out that hot take, people are gonna fire back. That's fun. That's why I'm doing this. If the people weren't doing this and making it fun for me, I'm probably gonna go back to school or something. Oh, I'm 30. Never mind. That's not possible. I'm doing something else with my life. I'm doing commentary in Canada.
Yeah, we got to figure it out. All right. Shout out to 504 Caesar for the $20 super chat, Danny for the 5, Misha for the 10, Travis the Gathering for gifting a sub to Rafa, Bella, thank you for the 12 months, Leo, thank you for the 9, Sir Ashton, thank you for the 10, and then Spawn. So earlier in the show, I said, who was it that made a comment about C9 only having like a single coach or them having more coaches? I was like, I think it was Spawn or someone. I don't know. It was non-committal. Spawn just showed up. He just spawned in chat. Said, Travis, I didn't flame C9 coaching staff. I just caught up with the episode. I think C9 built a good team and from all metrics made the right moves to win. I said I felt bad for them. WTH, man.
There it is. Get his ass. Respectfully.
So I guess it wasn't Spawn who said it. Somebody made some sort of, I think a coach or manager on the show made a funny comment. Maybe it was it Papa
I know
Smithy?
I know FlyQuest called them predictable in their interview. I don't know if you're like referencing that, but I referenced that and I do feel like that was
no,
fair.
somebody on the show, it was like a kind of throwaway comment that I caught, and I think a lot of people didn't, but it was funny. I mean, regardless, I'm not trying to cause drama. I was only referencing the fact that there was a ongoing conversation about this type of stuff. Yeah.
And for me, the point that I was making ultimately, as Spawn the Caster is subscribed, is like, as I said, some of the most frustrating things is when you don't know what is happening internally. You have no idea, right? And the last thing you want to do is move from coach to coach because like that's not solving the problem. It clearly didn't. And I actually think, and I mentioned Vigar V2 being on the coaching staff as well in terms of like the numbers of coaches that he had. He's widely respected. He's really fucking smart at what he does. So at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on within the team. Only they really know, and hopefully they, change it up.
Yeah.
And fix
Similarly frustrating things is when you're in the middle of your shoutouts and then Raz decides it's time for him to revisit a general topic about coaches from earlier. And
2 more hours.
Chime in with this video. Yeah, I wonder why it is that we always go to overtime when you're here. It's like, I'm like, and shout out to all these people. Shout out to Spawn. Sorry, let me correct this. And Raz is like, and on the topic of coaching, by the way, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Who knows? And I'm like, yeah, thanks, Raz. Back to my shout outs. Shout out to all of our sponsors, but shout out to Kia, who I'll be on the stage for this weekend. Please check it out. Please watch the stream. And yeah, I'll stick around on stream and see y'all Friday and Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Stream will be back. Bye.